look at your agreements across the entire film business value chain, you're going to be dealing with all kinds of persons. So you're the script writer or the screenplay writer. Ultimately, when you're now ready, assuming you're the producer who also writes it, or even if you're not, and you're the producer who has acquired the story, now you've got to think about everybody that's going to work in in helping execute the vision. So you have to look at your writer agreements for those that you'd be writing with, and for the writers that you'd be hiring on, or that you may write with. So writer agreement, joint writer agreements, or joint collaboration agreements. You have to look at all your cast and crew, the people you'll be hiring, whether you're hiring them on an independent contractor basis, work for hire agreements, among other things. So the agreement section is very robust, and basically you're getting releases, you're getting all kinds of coverage to make sure that everyone, by that I mean agreements across that industry spectrum, that you're protected. And then the next framework is your intellectual property, right? So registration of the copyright. June was mentioning something along those lines, thinking about your trademarks and the licensing of it as well, thinking about any kind of image rights that are involved, among other things. And then really you get to the distribution end of things. And that's where it gets, and that's where we hear when you think about particularly the African context, that's what we hear over and over again, some of the major challenges with distribution. Before it used to be having a hard time to produce content. Now it's more so the distribution framework. So distribution legal framework. So having said that on the US, then let me quickly compare it to the Nigerian end. So Nigeria basically has the exact same infrastructure on the legal side. However, a lot of it is not one that creators are fully aware of, number one, not educated about what's going on, not interested in incorporating per se. And also, we are very, 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 very entrepreneurial driven. So the idea that it would take 2, 3, 4, 5 years to to get a movie to the big screen doesn't make sense. So it's sort of like more so, let me go create on my low budget, bootstrap the funds, create and put it out. And of course, that's why I think Nollywood has had the kind of notoriety it has. So is there a legal framework? There is under the Nigerian Company Act for you to incorporate just as much as there is in the US end and the Kenyan end as well. Are there agreements? Absolutely. Gazillion agreements, guilds, film boards, etc., that can assist and sort of guide you towards that. Are people tuned into that? Creators, not necessarily. Do you have intellectual property? Yes, you do. Under IP laws, we haven't really had a robust exploration of IP laws, but they've been happening in recent times. And we're seeing here and there a few copyright infringement cases, major copyright infringement cases on the film side that have come out, but really not that much. And a lot of copyright related contracts, people are not necessarily getting into it. And then on the distribution side, everyone's still on the same wavelength of how do we deal with distribution. And there comes the entrance of some of the more digital, the VODs and all those other companies, which we can talk about a little bit more. But that's sort of the framework that I would set for both different countries and where I have my interest.
Okay, thank you, Odwak, for that. So as you can see, the framework generally is the same. Contract law has been a great emphasis, and then the different licensing infrastructure is also important. Now, we'd like to discuss something that is emerging, collective management in the audiovisual sector. Right? Here is, video on demand, all these platforms, the Netflixes, the broadcasters are also stretching their arms, around and trying to do different things. And the Kenyan industry has been having a conversation around how do I continue earning from my films? Again, also the people involved in these projects have been asking themselves that, how do I continue to earn? Because the producer is making money. So what about me as the actor, So I think I will start with you, June. Collective management and audiovisual projects. Should we be going towards that direction? Your thoughts? And as you've answered that, remember also music videos as well, yeah?
All right, well, I agree. I think it's, we always say that the law plays catch up, and this is one of those really good examples of this happening. So I think that, yes, first of all, collective management is the ability for an entity that is a non-profit organization to be able to handle the collective issues of a similar group of people or groups of people who have similar rights. So if it's the Authors Society, their role would then be to give permission to this organization to go out and collect money from TV stations, media houses, bars, restaurants, etc., right? Whoever has used their work product. Instead of each and every author hearing, oh, Liz played my song on her station, let me drive over or run over and collect some money. So just to set context, that's what collective management is. And now, if we were to apply that in the audiovisual industry, I do think there's a space for it. And even saying that, I know is a little bit controversial, because the way our act is written right now, you really have to read kind of like 4 sections together to get the justification to be able to say who is the owner or the author of this film, right? So if I recall my last reading of the act in that much detail, my conclusion was that it is possible to have people who have contributed to the making of an audiovisual work to then be able to continue to earn from it, but not the way the producer does. So very clearly separating those two roles. The way performers or related rights owners would have an equitable remuneration right, for example. So that it's true, if I was the actor in this film and I made it the hit that it is, yeah, of course, the producer who funded the thing should get some money, but even me, I should get some money. Having said that, there's ways to do it. You could have the CMO, or you could make sure you negotiate for a share of that at the point that you're signing your contract. So if there's an upside, and we see this happening, I think Udwa can confirm, in Hollywood with the big names, they ask for a share of the producer's profits right off the bat, because they know there's going to be success at the box office. Now in Africa, if we start to think of it like, we're not where the US is, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think we have a beautiful canvas to create our African story, our African way. But I do think there's something to be said for these other intangible contributions, and maybe more leaning towards the equitable right, which is, I recognize there's a contribution this actor has made, this writer has made, and in addition to the money we paid them for their time when we were filming or when we were writing the screenplay, they can get a percentage, a smaller percentage as the copyright terms and laws agree. You mentioned music videos as well, briefly. I'll speak on that. Heck yes. I definitely think that if I didn't have money, and I'm in this situation right now, I have to have a nice hot song coming out, and I need a music video in the next couple of weeks. So of course I've gone and I've used my social capital, and these guys have said, yes, come, we'll record the music video for you. Now I'm waiting to see if they're going to do the right thing and ask me the right questions, because I'm not lawyer June now, I'm artist June. The music is mine and the producers, and so we have our own arrangement, how the producer and I will share the audio, not the audiovisual work, the audio master recording. But then a new work is going to be created when the music video comes out, and it's going to do its own thing and live its own life on the various platforms. We might get 1 million views and then be able to start monetizing the content. So the question is, can these video producers also benefit? Now, did they get paid? Did they invoice me and then they were just service providers? Or are they part of the team that partnered to make this audiovisual work? So depending on the answer to that question, the first scenario, they don't get anything. The second scenario, they do.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's very important. And I think I'll go back now to Udwak, since you mentioned Udwak, and we'd like to get some insight from the US side, Nigeria side, collective management in the audiovisual industry. Is it something that you see happening? Is it, is it current? And share those experiences on your end.
Absolutely. I mean, Nigeria, some few years back, launched the Audiovisual Rights Society of Nigeria. I believe that's the full name. And basically, along that film value chain, as we were speaking already, it's important, if you're the producer, to get all the necessary clearance, release agreements, as we're talking about, all the IP, get your chain of title sorted out. In doing that, then you, the producer, just like you would an artist, you can't, and specifically when I say an artist, I'm focusing more on songwriters, since there's more emphasis on that. Just like you're a songwriter and you write, you compose music, and then you have performance rights organizations that help you, or collecting management organizations that help you collect all of the publishing royalties. Similarly, On the film side, the producer is that focused person, right? And so the producer then has that relationship with collective management organizations like the Audiovisual Rights Organization I just mentioned in Nigeria, similar one on the international end, just in general, and of course on the US end as well. And the goal is for them to be able to help collect royalties every time that your audiovisual work is used in their establishments, right? And so, yes, that framework does exist. In the context of what June is saying on what should happen in the Kenyan, and absolutely, it makes sense that it should be happening on the collection of that work. But key thing goes back to that sorting out of whose respective rights are. If you don't get the clearances, you're going to confuse everyone, and like from investors not even willing to touch the ultimate product. But even if you get past that part, then being able for your collective management organization to go collect money when you haven't had clearances for your work is a problem. So you want to sort out and get all the clearances in place, especially as a producer.
Thank you for that. So now I'll turn to Josephine and Paul. I think I'll start with you, Josephine, first. Collective management, what does that look like in terms of the efficacy on what you guys do? Does it enhance what you're trying to do for the Kenyan film industry?
Okay, so on the issue of collective management organizations, when it comes to film, and I'm actually so glad that Udwak has mentioned in Nigeria they have a framework and they already have an association for the audiovisual so that the filmmakers in Nigeria can at least have a collective management organization for their products. So back here in Kenya, we do not currently have one collective management organization that is specific to audiovisual works. Yes, we have others, and Mr. Kaindo will give us more insights on which ones exist as we speak. But then just going back to that topic, I'm so glad because as the Commission and back to our mandate, the way we work with other government agencies that are there within the film industry, sometime in this May last year, we were able to do some survey within the film industry where we were looking at whether filmmakers would be receptive to this issue on having an audiovisual collective management organization. And for me, and even looking at the film industry, I think CMOs have a place in it, in that at least for the filmmakers, they need to come together and just have this institution that is able to ensure that they can be able to have their royalties collected in an efficient manner. So I am of the view that it is about time. And as a commission, again, we've also try to just bring about the filmmakers as our stakeholders together. Again, in December last year, we were able to facilitate this, we were able to bring them together, and I think most of them would say that they are receptive of this, but then it would also come in terms of the management of these organizations. It's a critical factor. And just as a way of ensuring that the filmmakers are able to benefit from it. So in my view, it is about time, and the Kenyan film industry is ready to be able to just take this up, and also tied with the topic for the day, and just looking at monetizing the film products. It is about time, and we are working towards that.
All right, so Mr. Regulator, you sit now at the center of collective management. Are there efforts to register an AV collective management? How would it be effective as well, considering the kind of controversy that has been around CMOs?
Thank you, Liz. There has been discussions actually for a very long time. I think for the last, if I can recall, last 2 years, I think the debate has actually been very hot relating to audiovisual. Of course, we have other CMOs, particularly in the music industry, that I would say do collect royalties on behalf of the right holders in the music industry. Now, the discussions relating to audiovisual have been going on in collaboration with Kenya Film Commission. And what came out of these discussions is that it appears that individuals in the audiovisual industry are able, this is the outcome of the discussions and the negotiations that came out, which may actually bring a divergent view here. But what we realized is that potentially these the audiovisual producers are able to effectively manage their rights as individuals. In the digital space, with broadcasters, they negotiate directly with them. That is what came out. So there were divergent, sharp divergent views in that area on whether there is need for collective management in the audiovisual industry. But do I think there is space for it? I think there is actually space for it. Are we ready? That is a discussion that we can have probably in future. But what the Kenya Copyright Board has done is that we have, the talks will continue with KFC to identify the areas which are not being effectively managed or it is not possible to individually manage, and then help develop a collective management organization in that particular area. But this will be guided by a lot of things. If the space is just very small, such that what is coming in into the pockets of the audiovisual producers is not really necessary, so we may end up not having the need for a CMO. Kenya is very unique in the creative industry. So the discussions at the research that has currently been done has shown that the way the audiovisual producers are managing their rights, they appear to be doing it effectively. But there is space for collective management, which now the Kenya Copyright Board, with the players in the industry at KFC and other government agencies, we are trying to explore and see whether the CMO can actually collect in that area.
Okay, thank you for that, Paul. So if you're in the audiovisual projects industry, I think it's important that you're always part of the process. Don't play catch up, as June said. You know, you want to be right at the center of all this legislative framework, right? So I will go to the next question, which is very important, and I think we must talk about. We're generating content online, on our YouTubes, on our TikToks, and now all these questions are coming around child protection, content protection, licensing issues as well. I think I will start with you, Udwak. What kind of trends are you seeing emerging in the US or in Nigeria around online content? You know, is there any framework that is now developing in that industry or in that particular sector in terms of online content?
Yeah, definitely. Well, in my practice, one of the things that I see, first, I'm also a content creator. I've been creating content for so long and covered the Kenyan market extensively, including the film market, and liaison with some of Kenyan representatives, even out in Hollywood. But having said that, around the whole digital frame are still issues. Well, first of all, digital piracy and how that affects impact on the economy and revenue that filmmakers are making, and just content creators. I'll just say content creators because the expansion has just become so much bigger. And then some of the areas that we're seeing issues, let me start first with the Nigerian market, is sort of the traditional media, traditional broadcasters having to compete with online content production, and ensuring that they're ramping up and staying competitive, because a lot of them are not necessarily that way. So you're seeing, for example, telecommunications companies, banks, etc., get into content production, upload it on YouTube, monetize it, use it as a way to also advertise their products and services. Now, in terms of legal agreements, the framework is still the same, where you do have, for example, YouTube. They're based out here in California, not too far away from me, the Google company that is, Facebook, all of these platforms that are allowing streaming of movies, or standalone companies like Iroko. You still have to go and do the click-through agreements or sign directly if you're doing a negotiated deal for purposes of the terms of distribution and how they'll distribute your content and what goes into that, and the royalty split and how that would be. It's the same issue. So you're not necessarily dealing with the incorporation side of things, although you should still incorporate it as a producer or business. But you're now producing the content and delivering it to the online digital distributors, if you will. as opposed to the direct broadcasters. And I think that's a good thing to the degree that a lot of the entry to the barrier that was up where you had to really romance a broadcaster has really, really changed. So you can now produce and directly send over to YouTube or whatever the case may be. So that's one area in terms of contracts that are happening in the legal in the virtual space. There's so many other things that I think are how do I say it, fluid in not knowing what the future framework will be when we're talking about all of the new technologies from virtual reality to augmented reality and all kinds of things, and even now NFTs, among other things. So I think people are still trying to figure out what it looks like in terms of negotiations and agreements and ensuring that those who are providing content are actually getting paid enough for the value of their content. And I think that's where I will leave it for now.
Thank you for that answer. Now I'll go to June. And I asked this question because of something we saw maybe a month or so ago, a controversial channel or rather controversial content, and the said person was arrested. And the question now became, are we going to start getting licenses for our YouTube channels from KFCB? What does that look like? And then, any other, framework we might now start to think about when it comes to content creation online.
Okay. So let me start by saying I am not the licensor at the KFCB, but I'll speak to the reality of the situation, okay? And in your initial question, you mentioned children. So I think it's important to just set that context that our children at the age of 10, 9, 8, 12, 13 even, have access to our gadgets. They have access to a laptop, a computer, a mobile phone, and therefore they have access to this content. With the exception of alcoholic beverage sites, or even some sites that then say, please confirm that you are 18. A 13-year-old can lie and get on.
True.
So I think for me, the answer I'll give is with that context in mind. The second thing I'll say is just the speed at which online content is created and uploaded. Unlike what I'd call traditional or analog audiovisual production process, which is 2-3 years, in River Road, maybe a month, So there's a process where you're writing scripts, you're filming, you're rehearsing, you're learning your lines, and then you're capturing this content, and then there's an edit. And then there's finally the final product that gets exhibited or gets shown from a local broadcaster or whatever platform exists. In that entire process, there's time to check, there's time to engage, there's time to look at the script, which is the first thing that KFCB would ask you for. Can we see the script of the thing you would like to make so we can tell you, before you spend any money, change chapter 2, change scene 4, this one will not fly. Don't waste your money and then come back and we'll still tell you no. So I think that's the first step. Online gives us an opportunity, but a huge threat as well, purely because of the speed. So in a minute, how much content has been uploaded today? Just right now, if we count 60 seconds from this moment, the amount of content is something that we cannot possibly, we do not have the capacity to regulate. So I don't see it as possibly an online licensing, but like a regulation where there's a monitoring aspect that goes on. So it'll be post the actual release of the content, and if it's bad, there'll be a slap on the wrist, there'll be some consequences. And of course, partnering with people like the Communications Authority to keep reminding content producers that you have an obligation, and if you steer from the correct line, there'll be some implication. So I think that's the safest answer right now, is the reality of pre-licensing online content is impossible.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for that. Now, we have only 5 minutes to go, and there's one question that I feel like we need to address, because the theme has been we need to tell Kenyan stories. We have the Traditional Knowledge and the Cultural Expressions Act of 2016. So I'll go directly to you, Paul, because Kekopo used to handle folklore, right? So what does that mean now with the TK Act in terms of telling Kenyan stories?
Thank you. Now, like you have said, folklore, traditional cultural expression, was initially protected as a copyright work. Now, the reason why it went to, there was need to protect it as with the Sui Generis Act is because there were difficulties in terms of ownership. It wasn't easy to identify who was the actual owner, who was entitled to register that particular work. And again, the other reason why it was actually passed is because it was to give effect to Article 11, Article 40, and Article 69, sub-Article 1C of the Constitution, which required the state to make an act and obliged the state to create a law that protects traditional cultural expression and traditional knowledge and IP generally speaking. So I believe there is need to balance individual rights and community rights. So when a filmmaker, for example, makes a film out of a traditional cultural expression of a particular community and makes money out of it, it is only fair to ensure that even the community is able to benefit out of it. And the benefit is not necessarily money that we have to pay the community. It could be some sort of an agreement that we are going to do something positive, could be even giving free advice or some sort of benefit goes back to the community. So I feel it is a good law because again, if the community feels that their traditional cultural expression can be used and the benefit will come back to them, they will be willing to release or to allow filmmakers to to create content from them. That means there is more content that is available to filmmakers. The role that was given to the Kenya Copyright Board in that particular act are they are limited to two functions. One is to maintain a repository of the traditional cultural expression and traditional knowledge in Kenya, and two is to resolve disputes relating to ownership where there is a dispute between ownership between two communities. So that is how the Kenya Copyright Board comes in. Otherwise, the implementation of the act was actually placed under the Ministry of Culture, which is responsible for doing that. The regulations have not been made, so we are still waiting for the regulations to come out, so that probably the implementation of it could come out and we could see how it sails.
All right.
Yeah.
Just to be fair to Josephine, as the Commission, how do you see supporting storytellers in terms of telling Kenyan stories? How do we plug into you and seek to you for help?
Okay, so thank you, Liz. And on that particular topic on the traditional culture and Protection of Knowledge Act, for that particular act, we look at how the future is going to be, and for me, I'm really excited in terms of for our filmmakers, at least they will be able to tell their authentic stories. They will be able to at least protect other people from coming in and telling the story which may not be in an articulate way, and how maybe events took place. And so with that, as a commission, we'll be able to ensure that we protect the rights of our filmmakers, we protect some of our culture, some of the expressions within that particular act, and by so doing, we'll be able to ensure that we are able to get value for our money in terms of the film industry. So for me, that is how I'd look at it.
All right, thank you guys. Thank you so much for this discussion. An hour just flew by, you know, the fear of time. So thank you very much. Thank you, Uduak, for joining us. I know we had to wake you up very early to join us. So thank you very much, everyone. So I think as an audience, we pray that you have learned something new. We hope that you have seen the kind of legal framework that you need to be aware of, that you need to be abreast of, so that you don't waste your money, as June said. So thank you for joining us. I'd like to invite you at 4:30. We'll be having the Kalasha pitching competition that will be going live. So please join us and see what Kenyan producers are up to. I would like to thank our sponsors again, Safaricom, Daystar University, Ada Animation, and Nation Media Group. And as we sign off, please join us next week with Base by Safaricom, where we'll be talking about the art of content creation on Tuesday, 11th at, I think about 11. So we hope to see you there. Thank you so much for joining in, and we hope you have learned something new.
Bye. Thank you.
This is a video streaming platform primarily designed for mobile. And with Base, we basically want to offer content to Kenyans. We are saying Base, we want to position Base as a home of best local content. And on Base, we want consumers to come and find content that entertains them, that informs them, that motivates them, then of course inspires them. And a session like this, Base Creators Garage, is actually content that's available on Base, where people can go and watch and be uplifted and learn from other content creators that have gone ahead and succeeded and actually get something from it.
It's very important early on in your career to understand ownership is the end goal. And you're in this for the buyout.
I love it.
I'm making this Sauti Sol music right now because it will be valuable for me in the future. And so I have to really make sure that my split sheets are in order and all the rights holders in my music are in order. In fact, if you look at Midnight Train, your average song has even 3 to 4 writers. And it's deliberate so that we get the best. But also, it's important that your stakeholders, your writers, and everybody knows what they own, where, how.
Quite a number of content creators had put together projects, and Netflix actually came knocking. But when we did 40 Sticks, we actually intended it to go into movie theaters. But when Corona came in, then we had limited choices in terms of platforms that we could place the movie. So luckily, Netflix came knocking. They actually came into Kenya, asked to meet with a number of content producers, and we were lucky to be called into the meeting. So everyone was able to present, and we were lucky to be one of the ones to be picked for our content.
We had just quit from our jobs, even myself. So we took what we had accumulated over the years, like our pension, the kidogo that it was, and then we that is what we put in. And then we borrowed. We borrowed from family, and then even the location itself we got from Eve's sister where they were living. They gave us the place, and I owed even my mother-in-law. That was how bad, how bad it was. But we had a vision and we knew this is what we wanted to do and we were going to get there somehow.
Because we would like to do it in seasons. We'd like to do at least 13 seasons.
I don't think I'm ever going to have a baby.
And whose car is that in the driveway? Ka mzee fulani, eh? Kasponyo.
Brayo, maplaya tupo. Akina Deno, ndia matapeli namba moja.
I want to get pregnant today, now.
The doctor is ready to see you. Please follow me. How do you maintain such a body?
Juice detox. Me imagine it has worked for me. 4 kg. 1 month.
Unajua mpango ya kando ya bwana yako. I'm lying down with my legs up.
Hey, it took you long enough. I definitely need that kind of action.
Men like to marry young. Na kwanza wakifika hii age yetu, wanataka mwanamke ambaye amezaa na yuko na mtoto.
He might just decide to marry you and you'll live happily ever after.
Colette.
Maria, she's not talking to me anymore. Who told teenagers that the world owes them anything?
My daughter is pregnant and I don't know what to do.
You know, once women hit the age of 40, it becomes increasingly difficult to conceive.
We pick any man mwenye unapenda hapo. Alafu baada ya miezi 9, hapo.
Everything I have is by me and me alone.
Your child support unapata gives you a cushion to land on. Appreciate.
And mind your own business.
This one is a magnet for abusers.
Sianza kuniambia hapa mambo ya mwanaume kunijenga. Oi.
I'm going to be named head of operations in Africa. But I'm going to create time for all of them. To actual living. Cheers.
Mi naitwa Daisy, and I can confidently say that my life is turning out just right.
Oh my goodness, this is so good! Yes.
I passed my KCSEs, and now I'm plotting world domination with my best friends Amina and Lisa. And then there's my boyfriend, Kolo. Did I mention they were destined for stardom?
You and me acting as lovers on stage and off stage. Oh my gosh.
You can start.
That you don't know me by name.
That's enough.
Or so I thought. My Peros have my entire life figured out for me.
Si mimi uliniconvince nipeleke my baby all the way to China. Si nilikwambia niko na kazi na koko Beijing naweza msaidia kusettle in nini.
I think it would be best if she said it here.
Shida yako ni tu Daisy abakie huko.
Na nini mbaya na hiyo?
To open doors for her.
But sasa,
I thought you'd get that.
lazima fight about it kila time. Manze, in life, there's some things that you just don't want to happen.
Hey? Okay, what was that about?
Mbona udema na post picha na boyfriend wako?
Kwa nini timu yako?
Collins!
Unafanya
Collins! Mbaya na wewe?
Nimekuja kama amelewa.
What? But lazima u accept.
Shushu, my life is falling apart. Welcome to adulthood.
Life ingekuwa so much better ingekuwa inakam na manual.
Pesa zako zimekuaje?
Because we would like to do it in seasons. We'd like to do at least 13 seasons.
Hello and good evening, everyone. And I welcome you all to Kenya Film Commission and Kalasha International on the smartphone filmmaking workshop. And I'll start my screen share. Okay, so why? First thing I would like to tell you all that it's only about imagination. Filmmaking, movie making is all about imagination, and the gadgets or the tools what we use for filmmaking, these are no boundaries for all of us. So always keep your imagination high and always start to make films with whatever you have. And especially in nowadays, the best tool we can have is the smartphone, which is with all of us now. uh, why a smartphone? We all know why a smartphone, because why not? It's a very good tool. It's a tool which is empowering us to tell us our stories, and it's cost friendly. It's always mobile. It's safety. It can safeguard your storage data, and it has ease of access. And nowadays we can also go live. And one thing I really like about smartphone is it's always ready. Now we call it as a mobile journalism. You all are aware of that, how people are gathering news and using mobile phones for making news. Similarly, we use the same technology to tell our stories. Now, one thing which I would like to tell you all, that do not compare it with your mainstream cameras. Of course, it has its own limitations, and we should never compare it with a mainstream camera. But yes, of course, it is capable of recording high quality videos, and which we can use to tell our short stories. Now, smartphone cameras nowadays, we have there are a few advantages. The one is that it's very lightweight. It has multiple camera options. We can instantly review and share the videos with our loved ones. And the camera, like I said, it's always ready. And nowadays, we all know that there are stabilizations which are inbuilt in the camera. Okay. First thing I would like to tell you, to always check whether what is the capability of your smartphone is. Like, you should know what gear you're using, what phone you're using, what is the sensor, or what is the megapixels, or what is the resolution you can shoot with, what is the frame rate you can shoot with, what is the like the kind of audio quality which you get out of your smartphone. Now there are few things which I would like to tell you, that before you start shooting with your smartphone, always check with what kind of lenses your smartphone is having. Okay, when we are saying about cinema, when we are saying about filmmaking, we should always see what elements are there in our smartphone, or what the camera is capable of. Okay, we should always check. I'm sure a lot of you will be having a smartphone which has quad cameras, a smartphone which has dual camera, or a smartphone which has even a single camera. So even a single camera phone can be used, and you can always connect external lenses like this. It's a small gear which I am using. I attach lenses. I can attach the lenses which we use for our main DSLR cameras or the mirrorless cameras. You can fix a DOF adapter, and you can change your normal camera into a mainstream camera. Now, one thing is that how to get access to our camera. It's very simple. You know that when you left swipe on your smartphone, the camera gets activated. Similarly, the volume down button of your smartphone is the key to activate your shutter. And same thing is for recording video. Also, if you're using headphones and you have a headset, or even if you have a Bluetooth headset, the button, the talkback button, which is there in the headset or in the earpods, that can activate and trigger the camera. So these things are very easy, and anyone can take advantage. Like, many times we need to shoot it remote control, like with a remote. So you can do that even if you're making a video of your own, like you're recording, say, like a PTC, like what we say in journalism terminology, piece to camera. If you want to do that, you can definitely use this earphones to record. You can use it to record time lapse. You can use it to record burst shooting, or many times during the low light condition, or you want to shoot it in a slow shutter speed. Then you can put your camera on a tripod or any stand, and you can activate your trigger with this the headphone buttons and all. Okay, now these things, because since we have a very limited time, I have just condensed the whole session, and I'll just go through it fast. That The first thing what I would like you all to do is, before you start shooting with your smartphone, always clean the lens. See, it's just a small cloth which we get with our spectacles, with goggles. Always, before you start shooting, always clean the lens and then start shooting. With this small effort, your quality of video will enhance. Literally, I'm telling you this fact. You can try it out. Second thing, when you switch on your camera and when you tap on the screen, what happens is it tries to adjust the focus and it tries to adjust the exposure. Now this is one tool which is there in everyone's smartphone, okay, and every smartphone camera will have this option. So what you do is you tap on the screen, and if you pull it down, you can reduce the exposure. This is the EV value, okay, exposure value of your smartphone, where you tap on it and you can reduce the exposure value. Now in mobile photography, it is okay to have different kind of exposure and all, but when it comes for videography, I'm sure that when you start your videography from one point and you move your camera towards another point, the camera is going to adjust the exposure as per what it is, what the sensor is sensing about the light. To avoid that, what you do is you tap on the screen and you hold it for 2 seconds, and then you find that there is a pop-up option which comes and it says AE and AF lock. Now AE means auto exposure and AF means auto focus. This will lock the exposure, and in this lock mode you can reduce the exposure the way you want, or exactly the kind of film you're making and the exposure. Now if you move your camera anywhere, the exposure is not going to change, and this is what it is needed, especially when we are dealing with videography. Okay, so keep that in mind. All the phones, all the smartphones, they have something called as the grid lines. Okay, now those grid lines needs to be always on. See this grid lines, can you see on my screen? Now these grid lines will help you to have better composition. Okay, and that will talk later in the session. Now you can use macro photography. You can use these macro options to do videography of insects and all, even if you're making a documentary, even if you're making a short film, and if you need any. So these phones are really capable of shooting all these things. One thing is like the HDR. Now HDR is very important because it captures the all available information of the light and it gives you one clean image. It will capture the highlight, it will capture the shadow, and it will also capture the mid-tones, and it will combine all these three together, three things at all, and it will give you one good exposed image. So always try to figure out when to use this. You need to use this when you have mixed lighting condition. All right. Now, like I said, it's just by cleaning your lens. It is just by cleaning your lens, your picture quality of smartphone is going to increase a lot. Always switch on the grid lines which are there on the camera. So go to video setting, go to your camera setting and switch on the grid line option, where you can use it to have a better composition. Okay. If you are shooting, so one thing is like, you will not be able to make films with your smartphone, just with your smartphone on wildlife, where you need a higher telefocal length. Okay, that is one disadvantage of smartphone, because it has a small sensor, and the lenses which we are equipped with, it's only say like 52 mm or 65 mm, not more than that. In that case, you need to have an attachment to your smartphone. Say like this is a cage, and you can remove this lens, you put a DOF adapter, and then on that you can place a tele lens with which you can record films on wildlife. Now those attachments are available and these are not very expensive. You can buy those on Amazon and any platform. Okay, now these are few idle settings. I would like to tell you that keep your resolution at 1080p, keep the FPS, which is the native FPS frame rates of your smartphone. Generally it is 30 frames per second. The aspect ratio needs to be 16:9, like a landscape. Okay, so always use your phone in landscape mode and not a vertical, or this is called as a portrait mode. It's better to use in landscape because this is the way we see films. This is the way our screen, our televisions are. So it is always better to have a wide screen view. right? There are multiple options. If you're putting anything on Instagram, if you're putting anything on Facebook, and there you want to have a particular aspect ratio, then definitely you can go ahead. Most of the mobile phones are capable of shooting 4K videos nowadays. Definitely you can shoot that, but the smartphone editing softwares which are there in the market do not support editing of these high resolution videos. So for that, you need to downscale your 4K resolution to full HD, which is 1080p. All right. Now, you can take a note of these few applications which will help you to use your smartphone in a better way in terms of recording and shooting. These are like Filmic Pro is a very good camera application for video recording. Open Camera, which is a wonderful open source camera applications. You have Nonstop Cam for iOS. We have Cinema FV5, Pro Shot, Pro Cam, Kinematic camera application, Mavis camera application. These softwares or these application, mobile application, will help you to have better control on your smartphone, especially when you're recording videos, right? Now, there are few applications which I have mentioned here. There is Snapseed for photo editing. There is Mix for photo editing. There is Photoshop and Lightroom for mobile editing. Then we have video editing software, like KineMaster, Filmora Go, iMovies, NCH VideoPad, Video Editor, Adobe Premiere, Rush. We have Quick, which is a GoPro application. And then the ultimate is a Luma Fusion. You have to check whether these applications are there. So few of them are paid softwares, few of them are free softwares. Okay. Now, these softwares will definitely help you to edit your videos, edit your photographs, and also to record proper video on your smartphone. So generally, the softwares which we professionals are using is Filmic Pro. Few times we use Open Camera, and KineMaster is a wonderful editing software which we always use on while we are on the go. Now, if you use Filmic Pro, this software is really a good software when it comes to manage your content on your smartphone. You can fix a lot of things here. You can use grid, you can have the stabilization on and off. So every feature which a DSLR or a video camera will have, you can activate those options on this software. Right? These software are available for Android as well as your iOS. Okay. Now it gives you control to shift your focus easily. Now, one biggest challenge with all our smartphones are you cannot adjust the focus or shift the focus smoothly because you have to tap on your screen, right? And these softwares will help you to shift the focus very smoothly with these dials on the screen. Okay, with these dials, you can shift, or we call it as rack focusing, where you focus from one point to another point. That is very smooth way to shift focus of your audience for your viewers from one point to another. This is what the cinematic language we say, right? Now, there are many other options which you can use in this software. You can put filters, you can select clips and edit them. You can see a timeline on this software. You can have the CRM, like you can manage the shots, scene number one, shot number one, the way we shoot in cinema. Okay. Now, I'm not going to teach you this software right now because we have a very limited time. But yes, you can just explore this software on your device. All right. Now, Open Camera is also similar to this camera because this will give you a manual control on your software. And this is what is needed because a lot of the smartphones will not give you access to manually change some settings, say like the aperture or the shutter speed or even the exposure, or also like the frame guide, what we generally use. So these software will give you and help you to do those settings on your smartphone. Now, the process of filmmaking, I have termed it as the process of smartphone filmmaking. Okay, it's the same thing. See, it is only that we are changing the device. We are only changing a camera with a smartphone, nothing else. Everything remains same. It is just about how you use your smartphone to record video. But the procedure, which is the film or the way we write or the way we plan our shooting is everything remains same. It is only that the device is getting changed. So in my terms, what I say is there is 3S for smartphone filmmaking. If you are able to capture these three things, if you are able to control on these three things, your films are going to be really good and people will enjoy. You can share your content. We just had a very good session on a lot of these content in terms of selling it in global platform and all. So if these three things are taken care, then people will love your story. People will love your content. First is story. Second is stability. And third is sound. Now, story is very important. Okay. Now, the basic structure of filmmaking is, we all know that it's pre-production, production, and post-production. I name it as story, visuals, and packaging. Packaging is packaging your entire content with good visuals, good sound, good effects, some color correction if needed, and you package a very good short film or films what you are planning to make. One thing again, the small disadvantage I can say that the battery life or the temperature of a smartphone, if you're shooting outdoors, it goes very high when you're continuously recording it. Okay, the battery life and the amount of storage needed, you need to take care of all these things. This is like your pre-production. Before you start your recording, we acquire equipments, right? Similarly, you have to make sure that your smartphone, the memory is empty, the battery is fully charged, you're carrying extra power bank or extra battery. No, right now we don't have those kind of phones where we put change batteries, but yes, you can have the power bank which will help you to have a longer duration of shoot. Now, pre-production is like the designing part of your film, where you write your story, you convert your idea into a script, your script is then converted into a screenplay, and then your screenplay is then recorded in the production process, which is actual filming stage of your idea. Now, once that filming is done, you do the post-production, which is like compiling everything, compiling your footage, editing, adding sound, music, sound, and everything together, and then creating a film. Now, what do we do in pre-production? Pre-production is like, first you choose your target audience, that for whom you're making this film. Okay, what is the age group you're targeting on? And depending upon that, you choose your content, how you want to present your film. Decide the length of your film. These are very important aspect before you start with it. Okay, write your idea for film, convert that idea into script. How to write script, you can check out these things, that what is the format of script. There are a lot of softwares which help you to write the script. Like, these are template based softwares like screenwriters and Celtex. Okay, these or Final Draft, these are the tools which we use for writing script. Then break down the script. How to break down your script? Like, if you have scene one, or the entire film is divided into different act or sequences, you then divide those sequences into scenes. Now, a scene is something which is happening in one area. In that area, whatever the camera positioning or the shots are, you write down those shots. Shot number one, someone is entering. Shot number two, he's sitting. Shot number three, he lifts up some pen. Shot number four, from top, he writes on that notepad. So this is something called a shot breakdown. Do the shot breakdown in textual form, and then make the short breakdown in a storyboard form. This will help you to have a very good production process, and also a very it's a very well planned filmmaking. Okay, before you start your filming, do the location recce, go to that actual location, check how the lighting is, at what time the lighting will be better. If it is very noisy, what things you need to carry with you? Do you need extra mic? Do you need extra filters for that? So all these things are very important before you start making the film. Okay, what are the props which are needed? Arrange them in advance, and then finally scheduling for the shoot. Now, this is as just a sample of storyboard, that how you can plan your storyboard before you start shooting. So this is the first shot where you see that the bus is. So if you see the cursor, I'll just highlight with it that this is the first frame and this is the second frame. Okay, now my shot starts from this frame and the bus moves from this frame to here. That means this is a pan shot. This is a movement in camera, which is a panning. So the camera will start from that road and it will move as per the bus. Okay, so this is pan. Same shot here. There is another pan which is happening. So shot number 2 is that. Then you see that all these directions which are marked here, these are the movement which the character is going to do, or the your talent is going to do. Okay, now this, if you create these kind of storyboard, then it will definitely help you in making your film a very good one. Okay, so your pre-production is good, then your production will be better. Your production is better, then your post-production will be easy. So make sure of that. Now production is like actually filming. Now many times when I am traveling with my bigger cameras and bigger equipments, I feel that sometimes I can shoot with my smartphone. This is one of a wrestling competition which was happening in a very remote place in India, and there we were shooting with very big gears. But when it time comes to shoot the actual movement, and I don't want to miss that out, it was not very planned shoot. We saw this and we took the permission from the authority that can we make a documentary on it. And we so what happened was, I went in that wrestling competition. I put my camera on a selfie stick, keeping the lens on the downside like this. This is the lens. Okay, so I keep it downwards, and I went into that wrestling, and I got all the shots which I wanted. Because by the time I used to shift my focal length on my camera, by the time I adjust the camera, the wrestling was getting over. To capture all of this thing together, I went to shoot with a smartphone, and that entire documentary was made on a smartphone. So see whether you're what kind of content you're shooting. When you're shooting on location, like I said, what is the lighting condition? Do you have external power source or not? If not, then what is the what are the other source of things what you need to be prepared with? Always shoot the insert, or what we can say is the expressions of people. Like if you're shooting a documentary and the people are talking about what is happening in that area, so always try to shoot some expression of people. So when you mix these shot, it will look better, it looks good. Make sure that you have good camera, the extra equipments what we are going to need is few lighting equipments. If you are shooting with outdoors, if you're shooting outdoors, you carry a 5-in-1 reflector or a white sheet where you can use it to reflect light on the character or your talent. Okay, if not, then you're carrying some LED light. Even if at indoor, if you're shooting, you can carry these kind of small LED lights which are available. Okay, this is a very bright and RGB colorful light which you can use. Okay, always keep these things handy when you're on production. Okay, and also the sound. Okay, you need to have a very good sound recording device, which I'll be telling you in further. Okay, in post production, you always copy entire footage. Okay, before you leave the location because it's very important. You copy it on a pen drive. It's an OTG enabled pen drive which you can insert in your mobile phone, and you copy that entire footage on your pen drive, and then copy that to your laptop. Or even you can definitely we are going to use our smartphone for editing, but always make a copy of it, because you never know if the phone, it's an electronic device. Okay, so make a copy of it. Now, where are you going to get your idea or develop the script or your story? Okay, an idea. It can be based on actual event, it can be literature, it can be culture, it can be a traditional knowledge which we all have. Okay, like the Kenyan content, like the traditional knowledge you all have. You can have personal experience, you can share your personal experience, you can make historical films. There are, so we all know there are different kind of films. We have fiction, we have non-fiction. Non-fiction means anything which is real, the life which is real. Okay, there is no dramatization of it. Then we have fictionized fictional films which you can dramatize. Now always make sure what kind of format you are using. Mostly we have commercials, animation, feature film. You already have gone through this animation session with the some specialist. Okay, now choose your content, choose your format which will definitely help you to tell your story in a better way. Is it a music video, is it a feature film, it's an animation or commercial or an industrial or something which is a process. Like if you're explaining a process of how to make this or how to make that, okay, that is a process based. Okay, now the plots and types, I said that these the ideas can be taken from actual event, literature, culture. Okay. Now, always make sure that you follow certain rules and regulations of your region, community, culture, and country. Keep that in mind, and then think of a story. Then people will like, if you are asking for any funds for your film, and a lot of things are there which needs to, like, you should not get into any legal trouble. So before that, you always take opinion of your people, of your authorities, and then think over it. Now, writing a film is like a very simple. I'll explain it in 2 minutes. That there is, when we say 3-act structure. Okay, what is 3-act structure? Is nothing but we divide our entire film in 3 acts: Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. Where Act 1 is the beginning of the film, or we can call it as an introduction of your character, of his subtext, or what is his locality, or how he lives, or how his friends are, how his family is, how do he behave, what is his socio-economic background. Okay, so these things can be shown in the introduction. Then you set up a conflict, or you give the character a problem. See, it is always better that there has to be a challenge to the character or your talent. So if you're choosing one character, a strong character for your film, you always give him some challenge, and he will solve that challenge in that entire film. Okay, and this is what we call it as the setup, problem, or conflict. Okay, so you have a character, he gets in some problem or he has some conflict, and he tries to solve that conflict, he tries to solve that problem. It can be anything. Now, if I say conflict means there are a lot of conflicts with us. Okay, a person versus person, there is some another person with whom he is going to he has some fight with, or anything. A person versus self, we are fighting within ourselves with some problem. Okay, a person versus nature, it can be a conflict. A person versus society is again a conflict. A person versus, say, like, there are a lot of entertainment film which we see. There are some horror films and a genre, horror film genre. So person versus supernatural. Okay, so these can be different conflicts which you can include in your short film or your filmmaking. So this is a structure of writing a film. You divide your film in 3 acts: Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, and then you plan your film. Now, you can also shuffle these acts between Act 1 and Act 3. You can start with a flashback that someone else is telling to you. Once upon a time, this happened. So then you get into flashback. So you can always shuffle these acts while writing, while making a screenplay. So you write your story, and then when you shoot, you plan it that how you want to present it or how you want to package it, and then you can shuffle these acts and make it interesting. See, it is important that when you start your film, people should get hook of it. People should get interest within first 15 seconds, 20 seconds. Otherwise, nobody is going to watch your film. So it is important to connect with the audience within the first few seconds of your film. If you're making a short film, say like 2 minutes, then people should get connected with your film within 15 seconds. Okay, it's very important. Now, I'll quickly tell you a few say like tips to keep your mobile phone stable. First thing is you have a tripod. Okay, this is a tripod where you can definitely place your camera, your smartphone. So this is I'm using this cage here. I put it on this tripod, I lock it, and my camera is ready for shooting. Okay, my tripod and this mobile camera. Okay, so a tripod will give me 2 movements. Okay, it will keep my camera very stable, and so I can make some movement on my tripod. One is a tilt, which is up and down, and one is pan. So left and right movement is called as panning. So I can use this tripod to create those wonderful movement on tripod, which is panning and tilting. Now, if you do not have tripod, I'm sure a few of you are having tripods and other accessories. But if you do not have any tripod at home, how to use your smartphones for stability? One thing is for sure, that a camera is equipped with few inbuilt features. One is EIS, which is electronic image stabilization, and the other is OIS, which is optical image stabilization. Now, if you have these things in your smartphone, just enable them and start the stabilization. So it will have some amount of stabilization, one stop, two stop stabilization in while you shoot. If you do not have that, then what you do is, first is the best option is how you hold your camera. Now, all of you, I'll suggest you that you should always hold your, we all hold our camera like this, right? Left, right, okay. So always, if you can hold it with one hand. So what is that we are avoiding multiple touch with our smartphone, and we are just using one hand to hold your camera. So this is the way you hold your camera. Rest your knee here, okay, rest your elbow here. And now if you shoot with one hand, you will find that your stability of your video is improved just with one hand. And with this thumb, you can always operate the camera. Okay, so keeping this lens on the top side and holding it with one hand, you will find that the camera is already in a stabilized way, because our interaction with this device is less. Second is, if you have ID card, majority, like we all go school, colleges, okay, if you have an ID card and if you have the lanyard, this kind of lanyard with it, just use it, okay, place it around your neck, and you place your camera like this and press it against your body. Okay, just press it against your body, and you will find that your video stability has increased. Okay, so with this, you will find that you can shoot very good shots with your smartphone, and these shots will be stabilized shots. Okay, third thing I will suggest, there are a lot of accessories which are there in the market. Okay, we have mobile, we have gimbals, we have tripod, we have these kind of small mini tripods which are there. You can connect your mobile phone with this, and there are electronic gimbals like these. So if you start this gimbal, okay, now I'm just switching it to a landscape mode, and if you see, look at the lens. So this will keep my mobile phone stable, if I am moving, even if I'm traveling. So with this, you can have very subtle shots, very subtle movements with this joystick. It has a joystick here. You can do the movement. Say like this is a panning movement, which I'm using this joystick to move my camera. Okay, I can use a tilt up and tilt down, and I can always put this on a tripod, and I can shoot myself as a selfie with this. Okay, you have different kind of cages available in the market like this. This is a small cage. On this, you can place microphones. Okay, this is a shotgun mic which I use. You can place your microphone here, and also you can place the light. Okay, the LED light here. It has a lot of attachments, and you can use these to mount things here, and then you place your mobile phone here. So with this attachment, you can definitely use use your smartphone very effectively, especially when recording videos. Now there are lots and lots of gadgets available in the market. Okay, you just have to make sure what is the gadget which is of your use in terms of making films. Okay, I'll also share that this is the best tool which we all have. So this is a car suction mount, okay, which we use in car. You can use this on a ceramic plate or a steel plate, okay, and place your camera, and you can use it for recording good videos on your smartphone. Try these things out. These are very handy things available. I'll also show you an interesting way to keep your mobile phone stable if you do not have any of these attachments or any of these accessories. Now, first is a very simple. I'll show you how you do this. This is a simple stick, any plastic stick or a wooden stick, and I'm sure a lot of you. This is a rubber band. Okay, this is a rubber band. Okay, a soft rubber band. What you do is you put this rubber band here on the stick, and place your camera, place your smartphone here, and just wrap it around like this. So this is a loop which I have used, and now with this you have made your simple selfie stick which you can use to shoot video. You put it on a pot, you put it in a bottle, and keep it as a stand. Okay, you can use this technique on a tree, you can use this technique on some fence, and keep your mobile phone steady. See, important is you need to have good steady video, especially when you're shooting with smartphone. The main challenge in smartphone filmmaking is the stability, the kind of shots we take. Okay. Now, these are rigs which are available in the market. There is Ulanzi, there is Beast Grip, and there is E-Image. These select, this is a cage from Ulanzi. Okay, this is a plastic case which is not very expensive. Now, this is the cage which I'm using is from E-Image. Okay, now this is also, this comes with two lenses. One is a macro lens and one is a wide fisheye lens. Okay, and I can also place another lenses which is the telephoto lenses, and you will get a very good shot on your smartphone with this. Okay, now there is something called as Beast Grip, and that's a bit expensive cage what you get for your smartphone. All right. Now, things which are very, very essential for considering your smartphone for filmmaking is any grip or a tripod or a handheld rig or a selfie stick for stability. Microphone. Okay, a mic or a good audio recording device. It is very much needed because the biggest challenge in smartphone is the microphone what our smartphones are equipped with are meant to have audio recording which is like next to you. Okay, it is the distance between you and the phone should be less. Now, to avoid this, because the more distance is between you and the character, your phone and the character, the more ambience noise it is going to capture. Okay, the ambience. So what you do is you can go ahead and buy these kind of microphones which are available. This is a lapel mic, a collar mic, okay, which we place here, and this is a very cheap microphone what you can use just to have a starting point of your smartphone filmmaking. Okay, so this is a Boya made microphone, and you just make sure that the pin which we use, it is TRRS, which is specially made for mobile phones. Okay, and you can have these kind of microphones. You can have this kind of shotgun microphone which you can place on any rig. Okay, these are very good. This is subcardioid mics which are very good for a distance of 3 to 4 feet. You can also have a wireless system which is like, this is the latest one. Okay, the Rode Wireless Go, and this is a transmitter and this is a receiver. Okay, this has a mic in it and this can be a transmitter, and this can transmit your audio wirelessly around 50 meters. Okay, so the distance between you and the person who is holding and having this microphone can be around 50 meters, and from there you can have very good sound recording directly connected to your smartphone. So you can put this one cable here and this will go to your smartphone. So your smartphone will be remotely capturing the audio which is recorded or transmitted from this transmitter. So there are a lot of devices which are available. There is Rode, there is Sennheiser, there is Shure, and there is Saramonic. So there are a lot of these kind of tools manufacturer who can, like, you can consider when making a smartphone. That's what I was telling, how to get good audio. So this is the EP connector, earphone connector, which for which needs to have, you need to have TRRS, which is connected to your smartphone. If you do not have a jack, or you do not have 3.5 mm jack, like a lot of new phones, they do not have. So you need to have a converter, which is select type C converter to TRS or 3.5 mm, or a lightning cable to a 3.5 mm converter. Okay, then you can record it directly into your smartphone. See, this is what I was telling, TRRS is what is needed. Okay, always make sure if you're using a lapel mic, it should be not more than 6 to 8 inches the distance from your mouth to the ear. The microphone needs to be 6 to 8 inches, that's it. Okay, always use your smartphone in aeroplane mode. Okay, you switch on the aeroplane mode, then there is no disturbance. Okay, you have a directional microphone like this shotgun microphone is there. Okay, the Boya microphone, it has a phantom power, so you need to have a small battery which is here, and this will have a phantom power boosted in your mic. Okay, This is a windsock, or we can call it as a dead cat. Okay, this is a windsock which covers the microphone, and this will help you to have a very good. Okay, so this is very important. Now, always point your microphone towards the source of your audio. So these are very simple tips which we all know. Okay, you can have field recorders like the small Zoom microphone is there. Okay, Zoom H1 recorder, which is a very handy tool for recording audios. Okay, now all these things are like, you really need to have good audio, you really need to have good kind of visuals, and to create good kind of visuals you need to have the what we can call is like the knowledge of capturing good images. Okay, now these you can go and check online with all these mixers or sound mixers which are there available in the market. You just need to search audio mixers and you will find multiple devices which will help you to have good recording. Now, as I said, holding your camera, the best way to shoot your videos in landscape mode, no portrait mode. Okay, and then you hold it in a way, the way we have shown. Okay, you can also use, say, like, this is the best way. What I did, I've kept a stone and my mobile phone was resting on that stone, and I captured a time lapse. Okay, so it's not that even if you do not have any accessories, you cannot shoot good videos. It's up to you how you use it. Now, the best, like I said, you need to have the aesthetic sense, or what we can say is like how to shoot. So many people think about how to shoot cinematic. Now, what is cinematic? Cinematic is nothing but the way we see in cinemas. Okay, now there are different ways to shoot videos. We call it as visual treatment, subjective or objective. Any point of view shot is called as subjective shot. Any third point of view is called as objective, the general view shots. Okay, now depending upon your shots, depending upon your selection of shots, you can convey a very big message on screen visually, and that is what is needed. So there are different kind of shot composition. Okay, now there are rules for shot composition, and the basic rule is like, what is composition? First of all, composition is nothing but whatever you are placing, you are showing on the screen as composition. It is the character, it's his makeup, her makeup, the lighting, the decoration or the set, the props, the costume, everything, whatever is set or seen in the frame, everything is a part of composition. The first rule or the basic rule for composition is rule of third, which is the most important rule of composition. And what you have to do is, like I said, that you switch on the grid lines. Okay, when you switch on the grid lines on your smartphone, you will find on your camera this grid lines. Okay, and with this you start shooting everything, keeping your grid lines on, and definitely after some practice or after a few days, your mind and your eyes will get trained with how to do a better composition. Rule of third. Now, what is rule of third? Rule of third is nothing but divide your screen in 3 equal parts, 3 vertically and 3 horizontally. Now, the intersection of all these lines is, you will get 4 points, and you can place your subject on one of these lines, the vertical or the or these points, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, use these lines. Now, generally, our eyes are more attached to these points on screen, even if the screen is not having these grid lines, but our eyes are generally stuck on these points easily. So placement is very important. So use these placement to place your subject. See, many Hollywood films, many films you see, you'll find that they use this rule, which is a very common rule in filmmaking, even in photography, even in painting. Okay, people use these rules. Now, not only rule of third, there are different rules which we use. There is a rule of symmetry, there is a rule of leading lines. And also with this rule, what I will suggest, that always keep your main action happening in the second plane, the second horizontal plane. Okay, the first or the topmost plane, if you are shooting outdoors, keep the skyline in that first plane. Keep your action happening in the second plane. Keep a foreground in this third plane. Similarly, you can have different compositions, like there are this symmetrical. So if you divide your frame in two parts, the left side looks similar, identical to the right side. So you're dividing into two parts. Even this boundary wall, it is leading us to the center point. So what happens is our mind, human eyes and human mind works better when we see different kind of shapes, say like triangle, circle, square, rectangle. Okay. So you always capture those things, those elements, try to capture those elements. Even a circle is what? An oval, or a circle is, even a face is like a circle. If you see my frame and I'm sitting like this, even this creates a triangle. Okay. If I'm sitting here, I have added a balance here with this light. So this frame is balanced. If I remove this light, this side will be empty. Okay. So that is balance. So you have this leading lines, everything is leading to the center of the frame. Use these kind of, see, this leading lines rule is taking you to the center of the frame. Your eyes are automatically leading you towards the center of the frame. And this is where the action is happening. Similarly, you can use the structures. Okay. If it's a wall, if it is a boundary wall. So these kind of patterns, you divide your frame in. If you apply a rule of third here, you will find that this character is exactly on one of the vertical line. See here, you can shift focus from one subject to another. The contrast, okay, dark and the contrast between this white shirt and this foreground. Okay, so this can create a very good visual communication, visual storytelling. Okay, see, this is a low angle shot, and it's a symmetrical shot where the screen is divided. If you divide your screen in vertically, left and right looks very identical. So this is a symmetry rule. Similarly, see here, if you see this shot, the foreground is green, the middle ground where the character is, right now my character is this horse, and you see the depth. So this is a well balanced image. You can imagine that on both the side, you see that there is a height. Okay, and then there is a depression in between, in the center of the frame. So this height or this greenery is keeping this image balanced. Okay, it's not taking you out of the frame, but rather it is taking you inside the frame. So it is important to have your audience in the frame and not out of the frame. Okay, see, you take any example from any film and you'll find that they apply these rules. Now there are different kind of shots which you need to take care of. You can study all these things later after this session. So you have extreme wide shot, which we use to establish the location. We have very wide shot, which will give you a view of where the thing is happening. Okay, we have a wide shot where you show the character from head to toe. Okay, we have medium shot, MS, where you see the character from waist to head. Okay, and now all these shots, if I'm talking to you, if I'm standing far away from this computer and then I am talking to you, that will not create that impression the way it is showing, the way it is getting communicated now with a medium close-up shot. Now this is a medium close-up shot. Okay, always make sure you're not cutting the head unnecessarily. Okay, like different shots, in a medium shot you don't need to cut your head, but if it is a close-up shot, then yes, you need to show only this area, or this extreme close-up only the lips or eyes or nose or anything which is happening. So definitely these things will happen, but make sure that you compose when you are writing a story. See, if it is an emotional shot and someone is talking something emotional, then you have to shift your shot from a medium shot to a close-up shot or an extreme close-up shot to show subtle expression. Okay, then there is an over-the-shoulder shot, OTS. Okay, over-the-shoulder shot means if two people are talking, this is a conversation shot. Okay, if two people are talking, you show someone's head and shoulder, and the person who is talking, you see that person in frame. Now, if you even divide it in rule of third, you will find that one character is on one line and second character in the first line. Similarly, there is a reverse shot of this, which is the reverse OTS. Okay, reverse OSS. This is when this person is going to respond to this lady in the over-the-shoulder shot. Okay. Now, same, you just have to make sure that when you're placing your character, there is something called as 180-degree rule. And that rule says that when you establish a character on the right side of the frame, so this is your frame, I am on the right side of the frame, and this lamp is on the left hand side. I'm not sure how it is looking. Yeah, it is on the left side of the screen. So when you establish any person on the right and any person on the left, and there is a conversation happening, you should not break this rule and don't break this geography of these characters. So in the over the shoulder reverse shot, the sky will be always on the left side of the frame. And that is how you manage that is you draw a line between these two characters, and you never cross the line with your camera. Don't cross the line with the camera. So there is character 1 and character 2. If these two are the characters, select this is character 1 and this mobile phone is character 2. So you will shoot from here to here. If you're crossing this character, that means you're breaking that rule. So just keep this in mind. These are different kind of shots. What are shots? Shot are nothing but how it is looking on the frame. What is the magnification? If it is an extreme wide long shot, very wide long shot, wide shot, medium shot, close up. So always choose your shot wisely when you're shooting, or this is what I said about the shot breakdown when you plan your shots. Okay. And also choosing right shot, and also the composition, how it is looking. See, if you see the wide shot here, it is symmetrical, correct? Similarly, if you see this shot, this is in rule of third. The medium close-up shot is in rule of third, and you see the depth, which is the lamp. Okay, so there is this area which is leading to the lamp again. Okay, now these things are very important. Like aesthetically, these are very important for making a film. Now, these are very basic grammar of cinema, or the language of cinema. Now, there are few common angles, like how you place your camera with respect to the subject. So the most common angle is the eye level. Okay, so like if I am sitting here, this camera is at eye level of me. Okay, so the camera and me are sitting at eye level. This is a very common way of showing your character. Okay, now if you show your character in low angle, where you are moving your camera below the eye line of the character, this is called as low angle. Now low angle is generally used to show character grand or powerful. You see superhero movies and all, so low angle will give you a strengthy shot, a very powerful shot. Similarly, that same character looks dwarf when you are shooting from high angle. So when to use high angle or when to use low angle, it needs to be, so there is no fixed rule for anything in creative. Okay, to be creative, there is no fixed rule, but you need to know the rules to break the rules, actually, what we say. Okay, then there is something called as a Dutch angle, where you tilt your camera slightly to create an uneasiness or something imbalance. Okay, we need to see things straight, right? This is how we behave. So always make sure that if you are shooting anything in tilted form, the audience are going to get imbalance. Okay, to create that imbalance on audience mind or viewer's mind, then you use a Dutch shot, or we can call it as a Dutch tilt. Okay, similarly, point of view shot, like I said, if someone is working on a computer, you show what he's doing or what she's doing. Okay, detail or extreme close-up shot or cutaways. If someone is knocking the door, who is there? You look, you hear the knocking sound and you look, then you show the door. So that is a cutaway, cutting from me to that subject. Okay, so these are few things which you need to keep in mind. Okay, angles, and eye level angle is the best way to connect. High angle will show the character weak. Low angle will make the character grand. Okay, shoot the activity, and then you plan your shots well, and you really, this is what I was telling you about the 180-degree rule. If you cross the line between two characters, that means you are breaking the rule. These rules can be broken only when your camera is continuously rolling. Okay. Now, also, I will tell you one easy step. If you can switch on to your mobile phone camera, go to video mode. Okay. And when you hit the record button, there are two more buttons which pops up. One is stop and one is pause. What you do is you can record one shot, then pause the camera, then record another shot, then pause the camera, and then record another shot, and then pause the camera. And when you see the final product, you will find that all the shots are stitched together. Okay, so within your camera, you can edit your shot if you plan it well. So this is a very easy way when you are traveling and when you want to shoot anything which is happening live. Okay, so these are few tips which you can definitely use to make your film. Now there are different camera movements, and you can find these are taken from Google Images. You can search and check these movements. So dolly is nothing but moving close to the subject and moving away from the subject. Truck is moving your camera horizontally left with the subject. Okay, so for this you need to have something, say like a gimbal will help you to have these shots. So dolly in and dolly out, or truck left and truck right. Okay, then we can move up and down. This is a pedestal shot. Okay, like I said, movement is, this is pan left, pan right, and pan left. Okay, similarly tilt up and tilt down. Okay, and in few gimbals you will have a roll option. Okay, so you can also have a rolling option when you move your entire camera in a circular form. There is something called as depth of field, which we definitely use in cinema, and this is like to shift the focus from one subject to another subject in your filmmaking or your shot taking. Okay, this is where you shift of focus from one subject to another. Now in smartphone it is not easy to achieve this, and that's why I said you use a Filmic Pro application where you shift your focus smoothly from one subject to another subject. Okay, now lighting is the most important part. Okay, it's always better to have everything lit up properly and then shoot. Always use natural lighting. Always make sure that you are catching the light on the subject. Say like if this is the sunlight, then you place your subject opposite the sunlight, so that a lot of light is being catched on this character, and you place your camera at the same side where the light is falling on the character. Okay, so your light, your camera, and the action. Light, camera, and action. Okay, that's a simple example but I can tell you. So place your subject opposite to the light if you're shooting in natural light. Okay, and this will help you to get good vision. See, if you, even if you're looking at me right now, I have placed a light here which is a key light. Okay, and there is another light which is here. Can you see it on my hand? Okay, so this is a light which I'm using for my pack or the hair. So this is a here I am using a 2-point light setup. One is key light and one is a backlight. Okay, now what you do is so the what I said is lighting is, in earlier days the light which we used to have, these are CF the lights, the tungsten light or the HMI light. Okay, it needs to charge up. Okay, it was so heavy, it was the filament needs to charge up, so it used to take time to charge up. And that's why if you see the earlier command on cinema, when the director used to say lights, camera, and action, so light is to charge up the light. And nowadays it is not that it's not a big deal. You have all those LED setups. Even ARRI has shifted to LED. Every Kino lights, the light what we use, have shifted to LED now. Okay, CFL and those Kino flows are the gas lights are banned now. So these lights are instantly to start and stop. So what kind of light source you can use? So right now at home, what you do is, people who are making low budget film or even with smartphone, what you do is you try different elements at home. So you use a tungsten bulb or you use an emergency lamp and try to figure out how this is going to affect your filmmaking. Now, the advantage of smartphone is it doesn't require that highlight. Okay, the way we need in our cinema cameras. So you can definitely explore different ways to shoot. Always make sure you're catching the light on the subject. Okay, then one thing is that you cannot have your camera, your smartphone has a fixed aperture. Okay, the way we have in our digital cameras, it is not like that. It has a fixed aperture and everything is managed with the ISO setting which is there in your smartphone, or the exposure value which is digitally managed. So make sure you see your exposure. If you're shooting something outdoors, if someone is wearing white clothes and all, so make sure that it is not, if you look at me now, if I'm obstructing this light, then you can see the texture on this shirt. Okay, if I remove my hand, this is overexposed. So don't do that. Keep a good, well balanced light. Okay, always make sure that you can change the ISO setting to make the light like the way you want in your film. Try to reduce the exposure the way I told you. Okay, now I'll just skip to this. There are different kind of lightings which are there. Let's talk about editing. What is editing is on smartphone. Now, the best application so far is Filmora Go, KineMaster, and LumaFusion. These are the best editing tools which are there in smartphone, and you can definitely check with these applications. These are very easy to use application, and on your smartphone you can definitely use. So what are the responsibilities of an editor, and especially when you're shooting and editing? See, what happens is, what is editing? Editing is nothing but placing your shots one after the other, placing the best shot, placing the good shots, or you are juxtaposing one shot after the other to create a meaning to your videos. Okay, now you need to have something which is called as continuity, walk continuity, look continuity, directional continuity, okay, action continuity. You have to make sure that when you are shooting, your shot one needs to match with your shot two, especially in direction. Okay, if someone is moving from left to right on the screen, and suddenly in the shot number two you are showing that same person walking left to right to left, then there will be a question in audience mind that why he or she is going again back. So there is a directional continuity. There is a look continuity. If I'm talking to someone in shot number one, hey, hi, how are you? And in shot number two, that same character is looking at the left side of the screen. This is the direction of the eye continuity. It's breaking. Similarly, if someone is wearing specs in shot one and in shot two, the specs are not there. So again, continuity is gone. So these things are planned in advance. These are your planning in your pre-production. When you shoot this in proper continuation, shooting in sequence, then only you will be able to edit this. A lot of people think that we'll manage this in edit. It is not like that. Cinema filmmaking is not like that. You have to plan everything. If your plan is not correct, then your edit is not going to be correct. Okay, timing, it requires, say, like, why timing? I'm telling you that certain shots or certain movement in your filmmaking needs time. If it is an action sequence, things will be fast. If it is an emotional sequence, it needs hold on the screen. Okay, someone is crying or someone is in a very bad, say, like someone is in a very emotional mood, you need to hold, you need to give time, you need to give some time on the screen. Okay, and emotion needs timing on the screen. So that you have to keep that in mind. Space, what space or what the timing, say, like what is the time? So shot number one is in early morning and shot number two is in 10 o'clock. So 6 o'clock and 10 o'clock, you will find that if you're shooting outdoors, the shadows are different. So that is a wrong way to shoot. Okay, you plan everything in a way, or you shoot everything in shadow if you're not shooting outdoors. Okay. Now, so these things are needed to have, like, you have to keep these things in mind and shoot your film. Okay. Now, these are few sites where you can get your audio. You can have YouTube audio library if you're a YouTuber. You can download free audio files from YouTube audio library. You can download from Storyblocks. You can download from audiojungle.net. So these will help you to have good soundtracks for your films. I hope this is, I'll just stop sharing this screen. Okay. So this is basically how to start your filmmaking with your smartphone. And I'm sure you all have gained some, say, like in-depth knowledge of using a smartphone for us making a short film on your smartphone. Okay. Now, are we taking any queries? Can I request the moderator? Are we taking any questions from the audience or our participants? Okay, so I'm sure you will be using this smartphone as a tool for making films, and All the best for your filmmaking, say like smartphone filmmaking career, and that's what I wanted to share with you all.
Base is a video streaming platform primarily designed for mobile. And with Base, we basically want to offer content to Kenyans. We are saying Base, we want to position Base as a home of best local content. And on Base, we want consumers to come and find content that entertains them, that informs them, that motivates them, then of course inspires them. And a session like this, Base Creators Garage, is actually content that's available on Base where people can go and watch and be uplifted and learn from other content creators that have gone ahead and succeeded and actually get something from it.
It's very important early on in your career to understand ownership is the end goal, and you're in this for the buyout.
I love it.
I'm making this Sauti Sol music right now because it will be valuable for me in the future. And so I have to really make sure that my split sheets are in order and all the rights holders in my music are in order. In fact, if you look at Midnight Train, your average song has even 3 to 4 writers. And it's deliberate so that we get the best. But also, it's important that your stakeholders, your writers, and everybody knows what they own, where, how.
Quite a number of content creators had put together projects, and Netflix actually came knocking. But when we did 40 Sticks, we actually intended it to go into movie theaters. But when Corona came in, then we had limited choices in terms of platforms that we could place the movie. So luckily, Netflix came knocking. They actually came into Kenya, asked to meet with a number of content producers, and we were lucky to be called into the meeting. So everyone was able to present, and we were lucky to be one of the ones to be picked for our content.
We had just quit from our jobs, even myself. So we took what we had accumulated over the years, like our pension, the kidogo that it was, and then we that is what we put in. And then we borrowed. We borrowed from family, and then even the location itself we got from Eve's sister where they were living. They gave us the place, and I owed even my mother-in-law. That was how bad, how bad it was. But we had a vision, and we knew this is what we wanted to do, and we were going to get there somehow.
Well, the line Biyaki Nyabuto, and my project is Tabaka Gem. That will be about Tabaka soapstones. So. The duration of the film is going to be 60 to 80 minutes, and it will be in Kisii, Swahili, and English languages. Miners and carvers in Tabaka are holding on to a rapidly dying culture, despite of it losing its value within the community. These miners and carvers have to find different ways to survive with the minimum wages that they make from carving such a valuable stone. This documentary tells us the story of how soapstone miners and carvers go about to create soapstone art and sculptures.
Hi, Magdalene.
Hi.
Your passion is very evident. I see you're really into the culture of soapstone and to help the Tabaka people salvage this heritage from fading off.
Yeah.
You've described a lot about how you intend to go about it.
Yeah.
I'm still looking for the story. A good documentary film is in the story. I'm looking for the story. So briefly tell me, what is the art of soapstone? What is the value of soapstone? What is the culture of soapstone?
The art of soapstone is it's the fact that it can be shaped into different things, into different products. Yeah, and it's the way the miners and the carvers, they bring the art out of the stone. They can bring any art.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Wambui Gade. I am a director, producer, and film curator. I'm the producer for this particular project, and I'm here with my colleague Sam.
My name is Samuel Onjohi. I'm a documentary filmmaker, and I love telling stories. So, the famous Martin Luther King once said that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So, if you look at this image, it's the story of a relentless pursuit of justice by one Wahinya Wakafore. Have a look at the trailer.
Gunuku mucie gunuku gwakwa ni ndereirwo nyumba ino urona haha uguo 7 of us. Unfortunately, 2 of my brothers have passed on. I'm the only surviving son. I was a very naughty boy, I would say, because I was very industrious and I wanted to discover so many things here and there. So in the process of me trying to know this and that, ninaigiana sasa na walimu wanaona huyu mtoto is obstinate. Oh, again academic. Okay. I went through the university up to 1982 when a coup was staged by the Kenya Air Force. I was arrested. I went to prison for 6 good years. I came out in 1988. In 1989, I was arrested and brought here. But after 46 days, I was released without any charge. But I stayed in a cell for 46 good years. Tuwa Kenya tupiganie.
My late husband was detained in 1986.
Son of Hero Washira, who was also a torture survivor. The son of Kariki Galito, who was detained without trial.
George Oroge, a survivor of these torture chambers.
Thank you very much. I wanted to start 2 major questions. 1, what new thing are you bringing in this project?
Sorry?
What new thing are you bringing to light with this project? Because a similar one has been done before. We've seen it in news. We've seen the dungeons of Nyayo House. What new item are you bringing across?
Our film is unique in this aspect. It's a developing story. So for the 8 months of production, what we are doing, we are following the story as it develops. What we are following is the pursuit that this association, it's called the National Torture Victims and Survivors Network. We are following as they pursue, as they make their pursuits, as they make their pleas to the government, as they make their pleas for compensation and the turning of the chambers into a monument open to public. So that's what our film will be about.
Yeah, but still that has already been said by the same groups that you've mentioned. Okay, the second one is, in this association, we have prominent members like Raila in it. Are you going to be able to bring in Matiba's story in it? Are you going to bring a comparison between the Nyayo House dungeons and those of Nyati House, so that now it can come out unique than you're already putting it?
Well, we don't intend to bring in stories of other well-known people like Matiba and the like. But what we want to do is we want the story to basically be about justice, like a pursuit for justice. So it's the story of Wahinya, but in the bigger picture is a story of justice and pursuit for the upholding of human rights. So we won't have much of the prominent figures.
I stand to be corrected, but don't you think it's the same pursuit and the same group that was affected then? I'm not taking you back to Kinanyona and Koigi, even though some of them are still living. Don't you think it will be better if you brought them into the picture? And if there's this association which existing, how come they are not members?
As we mentioned earlier, the main purpose of this film is to highlight what Wahinya and the other people who have gone through similar injustices get justice. So we might consider, as you've suggested, we might consider including these other people so that in order to make the story more stronger and more relatable to other people. So that's something that we will definitely consider.
And also we believe that by telling the story of one, it tells the story of all, because a pursuit of justice is a pursuit of justice. But yeah, we take that into consideration.
Hi, Wambui and Samuel.
Hello.
I like the fact that you said you like telling stories, because it's an element of a successful documentary filmmaking, the fact that you love to tell stories. What we have just seen here and what I've heard you pitch today, the story is compelling. I like the angle you've taken to pursue justice through this one man. I like the fact that you've involved different generations, because you want to preserve this as historic. You want to preserve this for future generations. And you're not just saying, it's not just an idea, you've actually involved different generations. That is very, very good. So for me, it's a very compelling story. I've seen the artistic expression you have taken. So I like the idea.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hello.
Yes. Based on what you have presented to us, it's very clear that you have visualized your idea. You know exactly what you want to do. I want to request that give us some more details on the depth of the research that you have done as far as the story of this particular person, Mr. Wahinya, is concerned, as you pursue this idea of those people who have suffered as a result of political liberation of this country. Please give us some details about the depth of the research that you have done on this particular topic.
Okay, thank you very much. One of the things that we have really done in the preparation of even this teaser is actually going to where Wahinya lives, like his home, because you can best know a man in his home. So we went and we spent there like 2 weeks just around and just got to know him, just got to see, he got to tell us his stories, he got to take us around. So where he lives in Nyeri is where Dedan Kimathi lives, is that area. So there's a lot of history there, there's a lot of stories. So what we did was he was guiding us on taking us to different people who were telling us their angles. And also one of his friends, his childhood friends, also we met him. God rest his soul in peace. We did an interview with him, and he told us everything about, what his perspective of what Wahinya was doing back then in those days of campus, and the activism and all that. We are still doing the research, and we are still digging more, getting to get the facts right, and that's what we intend to present in this documentary.
Okay, thank you. The second question from me is, now that you are still doing some research about this particular topic, don't you think if you get more information, it's likely to interfere with the budgeting that has already been allocated for this particular production? For example, and I believe you know, the budget that exists, if you are given the opportunity to go ahead, is 500,000. So will you be able to work within that particular parameters that have been set by the commission?
We are aware that this story is still developing, meaning it might just shift in terms of how we develop and tell the story. That will also, of course, shift the figures that we've portrayed on the budget, on the summary budget. But for this particular funds that we are hoping we'll get from you, we intend on plugging them directly into production. But at the same time, we're also seeking for multiple funds from other organizations that are also funding films like these, or films like these. Yeah. So there's one organization that we've already applied to and are waiting for a response at the end of this month. That is One World Media. And we're hoping to also apply to more organizations and other funding organizations that are also funding as well.
Thank you very much. Your time is up.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My name is Joy Chinyunyuzi, and I am a filmmaker based in Nairobi, Kenya. I'm here to pitch a film called Fabi. It is a documentary that my director and I came up with and shot a trailer for. Honestly, the name Fabi was an oops, first of all. And then second, and then we realized we actually liked the name Fabi for our film. So I'm glad, we got shortlisted for this. So I think things will definitely are definitely looking up. Hello, my name is Joy and I am the producer of Fabi. Karanja Ngendo is my director. Earlier last year, after the COVID pandemic, another pandemic arose, and that was teenage pregnancy. And there were so many young girls who are pregnant, and my director and I thought to ourselves, what can we do about this? So I came across this statistic that in Kenya, 1 in every 5 girls aged between 15 and 19 is either pregnant or is already a mother. So our character, her name is Nicole, she fits right into these statistics. Using Fabi is Nicole's mother. Nicole is Fabi's mother. So using this story, what we intend to do is to offer an illuminating glimpse into the statistics and behind the statistics, and into the realities and consequences of adolescent pregnancy, and how intergenerational poverty plays a major role in keeping families caged. So our logline, Fabi is a candid character-driven story that follows Nicole, a teenage mother, in her bid to rejoin school after she drops out to have her son. We landed on Nicole after asking ourselves, what can we do about this statistics as filmmakers? And we thought to ourselves, let us look into statistics, and we came across Nicole. So Nicole had her son, Fabi, when she was 17. She had to drop out, and so now the mother, Nicole's mother, is the one who looks after Fabi. What that means is that Nicole had to drop out of school for a while. The interesting bit about this, and sad, is that Susan, Nicole's mother, also had Nicole at the same age, 17. They all live within the slum area of Kibagare, which is just here in Kangemi. And the languages that we used for our films is Kiswahili, Sheng, and Kikuyu, but we have subtitles, so don't worry. Would you please play the trailer for me?
Ningependa sana kurudi shule nisome ndo nisaidie mtoto wangu pia asome. Siku ya kwanza kupata ball nilisikia aibu. Nilisikia aibu juu mbele ya marafiki zangu, mama yangu. Nilikuwa na aibu sana. Juu na imagine kubeba tena mimba na mimi mdogo. Hiyo ni aibu. Kwa majina naitwa Nicole Mombi. nilikuwa na miaka 17. Mimi na mom tulianza kukosana ndio nilipata boyfriend. Alikuwa mkubwa, nimaliza shule. Hiyo time nilikuwa na miaka 15. Sasa nikaanza hadi kutoroka home. Silali mtaa, tunaenda majengo.
Kwa majina naitwa Susan Nyakeo, mwenda mama Nicole. Baadaye ni hisi kufika secondary, nimaliza primary. Na hapo nilimaliza 8. After that ndio ile tukapatana na baba Nicole. Sikuwa najua mambo na familia nini. So hiyo venye tulipatana sikawia sana. Kapata mimba. Baadaye nilipata nikiwa 17. Wakati ya kwanza nilikuwa na stress sana. Ndio sasa nilishindwa nitaanzia wapi. Tunaweza taka iwape ni wakati akirudi shule, ndio ikuwa kumpeleka shule, kama ni uniform, kila kitu, yani ikuwe ready. Juu wake anasema ako willing kurudi shule. So niweza taka hivyo, juu sitaki kumleta down tena, sema mama nataka kurudi, pia wewe kama get down.
So we are already into the development stage. As you can see, we shot a trailer. What we would want to do is go on into the production stage where we will shoot this and make it a proper documentary, with the aim of it reaching as many people as possible, because we believe that as many people as possible need to know and actually place a face to the pandemic of teenage pregnancy, other than just flinging the word around. The style that we are using is the same thing. We are just using first-person narration, where Nicole, being the main protagonist, gets to tell her story. And when if her story and her mother's story and her grandmother's story, who is the neighbor, interweaves, then we would like to cover that as well. Our budgets as of... Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
It's a very nice story. The shots actually tell the story. I'd say good work has been put into it. But there's only one problem. You're telling us the story. You're not giving us the remedies. What are you telling the general public how they can go about to stop teenage pregnancies? Is it the boy child who needs to be taught instead of every now and then pointing a finger at the girl child? Or is it the parents versus the teachers on matters sex education? That did not come up.
Yes, so that has not come up because we do intend at some point to interweave Nicole's story and her mom's story. So we're not burdening the girls with the need to defend themselves. No, we're just exploring where they are and the things that they have done where they are. Because so Nicole is in this particular situation, not because she wanted to, but because she's forced into that situation. So how is she choosing to defy the odds? Her story is the story of very many other girls in slums, and they do not necessarily have an option or the luxury to say that they will wait for, say, the boy child to come on board and help them. So they have to start somewhere, unfortunately.
Earlier on, you gave us some statistics here, 1 out of every 5. Where did you get the statistics from? Or you randomly picked and guessed? Because if you're giving us 1 to 5, we need to know where it came from. Who did the research?
So I think it is in 2017. That is the latest statistical report on girls and rape. So when I was exploring this, I did not just think of pregnancy alone, but rape as a whole. And people who go undocumented after they're pregnant, and the stories around that, so abortion and the works. So this was a study, I think, in 2017, and it is the latest study. It is definitely the latest study.
Hi, Joy. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah, well done. The cinematography is good. It engages the audience, and you really want to follow through with the story. I like the fact that you're using and you're interweaving different stories of different characters, but then they all land into one. There is a selling point you have mentioned, or you keep mentioning, the COVID. That was a big story, or is still a big story. I wish if you'd focus on that, because you see, this is a general story. Teenage pregnancy in the slum, that's a story that has been done over and over again. But you keep mentioning about the COVID, the pandemic, season and what happened. If you can take that, that's a brilliant idea.
We are hoping now with this opportunity, we get some donor funds and some funds to implement our course.
The Wildlife Saviors isn't something that's going to be halted just because it didn't win today. It's something that needs to be out there, showcasing the amazing work that those people do, that anyone can do to save a wild animal, is something that I think needs to be shown. Whether or not we win,
we just want people to watch. We want to connect people with wildlife.
My name is Richard Omondi. I'm a filmmaker and the producer for Wildlife Saviors.
Good afternoon to you all. My name is Victor Mutua, a filmmaker and the director of Wildlife Saviors.
Now, what does it take to administer medical services to a wounded wild animal suffering from an injury or infectious disease in the wild?
So let me expand on what my colleague has said. So the base of Wildlife Saviors is a 6 to 8 part docu-series that follows the rescue, the rehabilitation, and the integration of a wild animal from the wild. Okay, a wild animal, whether in captivity or in the wild, from the point when it's been injured either through man-made causes, that could be either poaching, or through natural causes, which could be things like extreme droughts. And it takes you as the viewer, and it makes you a member of the crew, a member of the rangers, a member of the people that interjects into that situation, that decide to take action and save and put in the time to make sure that that animal has a fighting chance and reintegrate it back into nature. That's Wildlife Saviors. Afternoon.
I was kind of impressed till you lost it. I was seeing the big five coming in. Then you started drifting away. Animals in captivity. You have funds to collect animals in captivity in Ethiopia, Uganda, China, Britain. How much will you need? And how are you going to cover for us this story if we gave you only 500,000 shillings? And then 2, why do you all of a sudden change from the KSPA of wildlife to a financial institution?
Sorry, I didn't get the second question, but I can answer your first question. Our major focus wasn't really to push towards the international markets. Our major focus right now was to focus within the East African markets, whereby if it was a point of an animal in captivity, it would be, for example, an animal in a zoo that has been mistreated and in bad conditions, and it would now take place from the time when that animal is rescued, brought into a rehabilitation center, and reintegrated back into wildlife. Our major focus was in and around the East African community, as well as in the wildlife parks and the game reserves, whereby you have wildlife rangers who have to tackle the consequences of the ugly side of poaching, which is now the snare traps. And for example, now when an elephant, the mother elephant is killed for its tusks, it leaves behind the calf. So those rangers have to go in and rescue that calf and bring it to a rehabilitation center, and then from that point on, they have to rehabilitate it by literally feeding it from that point onwards, bonding with it emotionally, and literally growing up with it, and to a point where now it can be reintegrated back into wildlife.
Which still means you're drifting away even further.
Yes.
If you're going to rehabilitate animals from the zoo, that means you're fighting for the whole entity of having a zoo to be accomplished, because all those animals suffer psychologically, physiologically, biologically by just being locked up. And two, if they are hurt, is it an area where KWS has been incapable of handling? So how do you come in if so? And then the question which you didn't get lastly, how do you come from a wildlife conservative into a financial institution which is trying to give in money to catalyze development? Why would you give me back interest? How are you generating money? You're becoming a chama instead of the wildlife.
I think I can answer that. I want to say that we are not only focusing on the wild animals in the zoo. We are saying that we want to capture or shoot animals that are seen, or which some of them might be roaming in the wild, but they are injured or they are not in their natural habitat. So we are saying that we're also going to focus on that in collaboration with the KWS and the players involved to capture, to shoot, to film the whole process of the healing and administering the treatment as well. Also, why am I saying that is because now I understand that film is also a business. So if this is an entity that we involve the business aspect in which we want to involve players to give us sponsors, we conduct our project, and in return maybe get something out of it, the proceeds that we get from the film in showcasing to the audience can be used in producing more production on nature, conservancy and wildlife, as well as also in donation and sustenance of wildlife and its conservancy costs.
Which is the same thing as having a chama. You get money, you collect money from people, get interest and give back whoever lent you money with interest. You're becoming a smaller bank, which I don't see the connection.
Hi, Richard and Victor.
Hi.
You have a very unique concept. Unique in the sense that when you focus on injured animals and abandoned animals, that's a story I want to watch. Maybe it's a story I can get on National Geographic or other channels, but this is a Kenyan. These are Kenyans telling their Kenyan story. It's one of those emotionally engaging stories, like you're seeing that emotional connection when the animals are being rehabilitated, and we're seeing the process of how this goes about. Now that is your selling point, yes. Right?
Yes.
My concern is, I think that is what you should focus on, telling that story. My concern is you want to make it episodic. I am concerned about the production value. Wouldn't you compromise on the production value when you look at it in an episodic way, as opposed to be maybe in one chunk? Look at it in terms of your timelines. And then I see your timelines to pay back being under 9 months. Is that realistic? You need to think through critically that, so that you don't spread yourself too thin and you miss it. You have a unique story, but you must protect the story by focusing right. And focusing right is, ask yourselves, do we need to make it episodic? Focusing right means we're going to focus on injured animals, abandoned animals. Then think about that story, because you can really pull out a very unique story out of that, right?
Yes.
So that would be my concern. Think about it and then think about the production value. Don't compromise the production value at the expense of a very good story.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have only one question. I have listened to your presentation. I want to get it right. If you have an idea, if you have a story that you want to tell, you must have a conviction from within that compels you to go out, do whatever it takes to tell a story to the audience. please bring out that conviction that you have to tell this story about wild animals that either they are sick or they have been injured.
Okay. To answer you, I can tell you our major source of inspiration, aside from the Asian story, right here at home, there is the story of Christine Davis, a young lady who, while camping out in the Chulu Hills, stumbled upon a young calf that had been stranded due to, I think it was floods at the time. And for a few days it was stranded, it was alone. You could clearly see that the animal was struggling. And she took it upon herself. And this is just a normal person out on a holiday. And she took it upon herself to contact the DSWT, which is the Davis and Child Wildlife Trust, to come in, to rescue, to rehabilitate, and to reintegrate that animal. That is what convicts me. That is what drives me. Seeing that a normal person making that effort, a normal person choosing to, to step away from just having fun and, beautiful views, and seeing that something here needs help other than myself. And that's what convicts me. It's the fact that we still have a chance to interject. We still have a chance to give an animal who might have nowhere to turn to, might have been abandoned, and might be, when an animal is stranded, it's aggressive. It doesn't have anywhere to turn to like us. You have ambulances, you have family, you have friends, but an animal doesn't have that. It's all alone in the wild. So why can't we be the saviors? That's my personal conviction. That's why I want to make this documentary.
Thank you very much, and good luck.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you for your time.
My name is Kongo Maura.
The COVID pandemic, another pandemic arose, and that was teenage pregnancy. And there are so many young girls who are pregnant, and my director and I thought to ourselves, what can we do about this? So I came across this statistic that in Kenya, 1 in every 5 girls aged between 15 and 19 is either pregnant or is already a mother. So our character, her name is Nicole, she fits right into these statistics. Using Fabi is Nicole's mother. Nicole is Fabi's mother. So using this story, what we intend to do is to offer an illuminating glimpse into the statistics and behind the statistics, and into the realities and consequences of adolescent pregnancy, and how intergenerational poverty plays a major role in keeping families caged. So our logline, Fabi is a candid character-driven story that follows Nicole, a teenage mother, in her bid to rejoin school after she drops out to have her son. We landed on Nicole after asking ourselves, what can we do about this statistics as filmmakers? And we thought to ourselves, let us look into statistics, and we came across Nicole. So Nicole had her son, Fabi, when she was 17. She had to drop out, and so now the mother, Nicole's mother, is the one who looks after Fabi. What that means is that Nicole had to drop out of school for a while. The interesting bit about this, and sad, is that Susan, Nicole's mother, also had Nicole at the same age, 17. They all live within the slum area of Kibagare, which is just here in Kangemi. And the languages that we used for our films is Kiswahili, Sheng, and Kikuyu, but we have subtitles, so don't worry. Would you please play the trailer for me?
Thank you. Okay. Thank you for your time.
My name is Kongo Maura. I'm a filmmaker, and I'm from Madare.
My name is Roald Griffin, and I'm the producer of the documentary, The Green Empire. If you have an idea and you don't exploit, you die with it.
So please take us through your project briefly. You have 10 minutes.
In a sentence, in a place where every open space is inhabited by garbage or shanties, you find that there's this youth group that's transforming these spaces into recreational sites, and they are facing so many challenges. And will they succeed? That's the question we are asking. The synopsis is that The Green Empire is a documentary in which the youth living in Madare, which is they call Madare Empire. They are trying to, they're in a quest to try and transform their community space, which is inhabited by garbage. And they're trying to reclaim the space and green it by planting trees, flowers, and grass. The film is taking a journey whereby it's documenting the struggles, the obstacles that the group goes through by trying to reclaim this space that's in their community. Through facing obstacles through land grabbers, we have people who have the garbage, people who drop the garbage there. So they're trying to challenge this by trying to plant trees, flowers, and yeah.
Are you using that platform as a reclamation for land that has been grabbed or is yet to be grabbed?
Yeah, actually, the land is a community public space.
My name is Densu Mosati. I'm the director of the film, and this is...
And I'm Momo Liku. I'm the producer of the film.
You have 10 minutes. Can you please briefly take us through your project?
Sure thing. Thank you. Before we start, I'd like to invite you to close your eyes for a minute. Let's think about what the last year has been like. The national lockdown, the isolation, the fears as you moved through the city when you could, the anxiety around the uncertainty that this moment calls for. Not too long ago, things weren't that different. Please open your eyes. I'd like to take you back to the 1950s, when Kenya was still a colony under the British Empire. We're right in the middle of the emergency, the Kenya emergency. Radio control cars and armored trucks are roaming around the city. There are checkpoints at every corner of the city, and you have to carry your pass in order to move through. You're aware that at any moment, you could be stopped. You're aware that at any moment, you could be stopped by a uniformed policeman, asked to squat as you raise your hands and be searched. It was a time when you could wake up in the morning to find your entire estate engulfed by soldiers with guns and you being ferried into internment camps. Now, in the midst of all this chaos, lay a special little neighborhood. Located on the southeast of what was then the Nairobi Municipal Council, it was a meeting place, and it was a meeting place for some of Africa's most celebrated minds. Joshua Nkomo, Patrice Lumumba, Kwame Nkrumah, and Haile Selassie all passed through this neighborhood. Without this neighborhood, we wouldn't be the independent nation that we are today. During that time, it housed the only place where Africans could meet to discuss, debate, and strategize for the independence of not only just Kenya, but also of our neighboring African countries. It was where Jomo Kenyatta, Mwai Kibaki, and Tom Mboya would learn that Kenya had gained its independence. It is where we would house our first parliament. It is also where Harry Belafonte and Miriam Makeba would learn the Swahili words to the song Malaika. In this very same neighborhood, JFK would also make a speech as he and Tom Mboya were strategizing to build an educational program that would give us our first Nobel laureate, Wangari Maathai. What if I was to tell you that this neighborhood is under threat of being demolished?
I find this issue rather diverting into political arena, and then all of a sudden you take us back to historical sites of our country.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you be able to just choose one? If it's historical monuments, we stick to it, because there's a lot to be told in your story. 2, you have room to talk about the superheroes of that period. You have the World War II veterans. You have the first leadership of this country. You have the likes of Tom Mboya. You have the likes of Miriam Makeba, the Kennedys. Why didn't you just pick one?
I think I'll pass the question back to you. Why is it that in England, where Jomo Kenyatta lived, there's a blue plaque that kind of shows that he lived there during just before we got independence? You see, what I think is this: it's like if you move around, wouldn't you want to know during independence time which house Julius Nyerere hid in, or which house Julius Nyerere stayed in?
You see, now that's the problem we want to change. That's what we want to change using film.
Yeah.
Stop stereotypes. Yeah. Stop copying. Stop copycatting.
Yeah.
The British did that. That's their own etiquette and their own way of doing things. We should have our own way of doing things. What I would have picked something very important here to write about, and that's Tom Mboya, who was sponsored and given scholarships by the Kennedys, who are very close friends.
Hello everybody. You have all done exceptionally well. Having come this far, it means you put in the work. Your ideas are great. So whether you carry the day or not, make sure those stories see the light of day, because you have exceptional stories. So when I call you, step forward. Wild Savior, Green Empire, Tabaka Gem. All right, keep up the spirit, work on the stories, put the stories out there. Unfortunately, we have to let you go. Thank you. "46, step forward. Your story is compelling, engaging. You have involved different generations. You have taken us through a journey, and you have fought, and you're still fighting to preserve these kind of stories. And indeed, we need to preserve these stories, and we need to tell our stories. What you have done is actually tell a Kenyan story. So keep telling the story. Unfortunately, we also have to let you go.
Good evening. Fabi, please move forward. I take this opportunity to appreciate the fact that you have come. We have listened to your idea. You have done exceptionally well. However, based on our judgment, the issues that we pointed out, and these issues focuses on the area of remedial, which did not come out clearly, and you are not able to convince the judges. The other aspect was the voice of the boy child. We were not able to see how the boy child is involved in this story of teenage pregnancy. You are not able to expound on that particular aspect, and on that reason, we were also not convinced. The third issue was the role of the parents and teachers. You are not able to do a lot of research and be able to give us information that can be able to bring out the role of all these people pertaining the topic that you had presented to us. And finally, the issue of sex education. We also felt that you are not very much pragmatic on how you dealt with that aspect, and it was not coming out clearly in your presentation. And we thought, now that your topic is about teenage pregnancy, that particular issue is very key. So we wanted to hear more on that because that is the beginning point where these teenage people, they become pregnant. And at that particular point, I also say that you are the second runners up, and thank you for the far that you have come.
Mwangazo. Huu ni mwanga ama ni congratulations. We found your story authentic. It opened up new locations in the greater Nairobi County to be able to be marketed in our historical archives, if it succeeds, if you make it and follow directions without veering away. And we wish you good luck on the same. And also did not forget to celebrate our cultural values. And in the spirit of that, we felt that we should give you the chance to use this particular platform to express and be savior, if all goes well. Congratulations.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Give us your project title and your names.
My name is James Kinyanjui. My project is By the Edge of the Spear. Mine is an action drama project. We're going to do it in 2 languages, English with Swahili subtitles. I want to go straight into the synopsis. Now, judges, I want to take you back to the 15th century, East Africa. We have 3 communities. We have the Anyaga, we have the Marathi, and we have the Kolwane. Now, the Anyaga are farmers, people of the soil. The Marathi are cattle herders. They keep cattle and they have very fierce warriors. Now, the Marathi and the Anyaga are enemies. However, they're going to be brought together. How are they going to be brought together? We have 2 seers, one coming from the Marathi, one coming from the Anyaga. They're going to tell them, there's a southern enemy who is coming to destroy you. He's coming to decimate you. And you have only one choice. You have to join together. Now, that's how they'll come together. They'll be forced to come together. I want to move on to my main character, who is called Kema. Kema is a very timid, weak individual. He's going to be bullied a lot. And he's a warrior, but those warriors you don't even think about. However, he has innate arcane talent. He's a wizard, but innate. And he's going to be awakened by being enslaved. He's going to be enslaved early on by the Kolwane. Kolwane is a community that, bad news. They enslave people. That's what they do. They come, conquer a community, take it up, enslave some, finish the rest, and then move on to the next community. They also have something else. They have a class of people they call Inazi. Inazi are spirit walkers. They move in the spirit, come, they scout out a place, find out who is who, spy out, then come back and warn and inform, and then they invade. That is a community that is going to be, that they're going to be warned about. So getting back to Mr. Kema, who is our main character. This youth, who is weak, who is timid, is going to be the saving of the entire people of East Africa. Let me move on to the budget. Our budget, one episode is going to be 350,000. And We're going to be doing 13 episodes over a 7-month period. And of course, we're talking about 4,550,000 in total for the 13 episodes. And the question is, how do we raise this money? So the first is sale of equity. We're going to sell a shareholding in this product, seeking to raise at least 3 million Kenya shillings. The second one is making advertisements for sponsor companies. So we're going to approach sponsor companies and make animated adverts for them. This is something we are skilled in. We do this as Left Eye Studios. The third one is a sale of merchandising, hoodies, t-shirts, bags, which are branded with the characters. Thank you very much, gentlemen and ladies.
Thank you very much. As I wait for the judges to ask any questions, so I would ask mine. What is your theme in that whole? What do you want to show us? What do you want to tell us with that whole idea? In a few words.
Here, what we want to bring out is the issues of perseverance, issues of bravery, issues of when adversity strikes, don't give up. Because our main character is going to face a lot of adversity. I mentioned a while back that he'll be awakened. He'll be awakened when he's made a slave. He's going to go through the fire of slavery. And in that process, he's going to be awakened. And you can imagine he has to overcome that adversity.
Okay, thank you very much. Judges?
Just weathering through.
Dennis?
And really, it doesn't mean that if you don't walk.
You've done very good research, and the world makes sense. So I have two questions. One, what's the duration of one episode? And the second one is, looking at Wakanda and the world that was made, it made sense being a live action. So why does this need to be animated? Because the research and everything with the characters, it looks more like something that would be a live action. So why animation?
To begin with the first question, each episode is 13 minutes. We're going to make 13 episodes, each of 13 minutes. And coming to the second question, we felt that animation brings out better the East African experience.
You've talked about merchandising for your products.
Yes.
Yet, you didn't even manage to print a single t-shirt and come with it here on the stage. How sure are we that you'll use that 5,000 for the production and not buy a Pro Box to go and do something else?
This is a concept we've had for a while, and it's in our hearts. It's part of us, and it's our intention to get it done.
Your heart is not enough. Sorry.
As the chair of the jury, I would just like to let all of you know that after much deliberation, when we considered all the factors that were put before us in regards to...
Good morning.
Good morning.
To you. Give us your name or the company name and the project title.
My name is Wamba Moiro, and we are here to present Kikina Ella.
And I'm Janet Ndinda.
You see, it's a world whereby we have all these animals who are talking, and they are living alongside humans, and there is no buildings. So episode 1 will tackle and tell us how this world actually came to be. Episode 2 will be a lesson in etiquette and use of like polite words. And episode 3 will be about traffic and things like crossing the road that we are teaching to kids. As you can see, we have provided style frames to show you how the quality of the animation is like. So Kiki and Ella is targeting 4 to 10-year-olds, and we aim to offer like original African stories which are done here and animated here. Also, in the animation, we will be using original music from Africa. Once we are done with the animation, we plan to circulate it to several broadcasters and VOD platforms, VOD being video on demand like Showmax, Netflix, and also eventually we want to have it on YouTube Kids.
We have the pipeline. This is how our production will go. In the pre-production, we'll have script development, character design, storyboards, which means the drawings of how the story will flow. After that, we will do redrawing, and then we will do redrawing and rigging, which is meant to put bones into the characters so that it may facilitate movement. And then we'll have background design, and then we'll have voice acting. In the pre-production, we'll have layout, whereby we merge the images into their respective backgrounds in respective scenes. We are having a budget of 765,000 Kenyan shillings. Each episode will take 265,000. We will be having timelines of 6 weeks, 4 weeks for the first episode, 2.5 weeks for the first and second episode each. The first episode will take more time simply because most of the characters are being designed in the first episode and they will be reused in the other episodes.
We have received great feedback as we have done some focus groups in several schools, including Makini, and the children really like the animation. Also, we are in talks with one VOD platform and also one broadcaster in regards to the same.
For all this to happen, we have an amazing team where we have the director, which is Wamba Muiru, and then we have the producer, Tim Waindi, and project lead, Janet Ndinda, and then we have 2 script writers, 2 pre-production people, 3 animators, and 2 post-production people.
Clarify this for me. It will take you 6 weeks. I think I caught that. How many episodes are you animating, and what's the length of each episode?
The length of each episode is 7 minutes, and we are doing a 3-part miniseries.
You said the story is about Kiki and Ella, and they're learning lessons about life. But do you have an antagonist, anything else that might be happening in the 7 minutes other than, not really downplaying what you've done. I think you've done a really good job, but we have the Kiki and Ella talking to each other. Like, what else do you have beyond just the 2 having dialogue? What else do you guys have in mind for the show?
There is an antagonist. As you have seen in the supporting characters, there is a certain hyena that's always causing trouble around. That's the Fisi guy. So there is an antagonist and all these other characters. But you see, since we are producing 3, the plan with this show is this. We are going to produce 3, and we are going to run more after that.
Is this story expandable? Basically, the 24 episodes, are they going to still be revolved around the coronavirus subject, or are you going to expand this to other subject matters concerning these same characters that you have built?
What we have shown right now is what we would call a proof of concept. In between that, and then they run off to another adventure. So it's education infused into like a certain story arc.
When you talked about the layouts that you had, it was purely on the animal side, where it was just open nature and all. Are we ever going to see where she's from? How is this world come into existence where the animals are able to understand one another? Is there anything that tells us about that backstory and how that gets to happen?
Episode 1 is an establishment of the whole world, the whole world building. So yes, we are gonna see the city. We are gonna see, actually it's a story from our time to that time.
I now hand it over to Makori.
Good morning.
Morning.
Name and title, please.
Lydia Mugure Mwangi, Neota Studios. Our project is Kawia's Adventure.
All right, take it away.
All right.
Libraries. Your presentation was well thought out.
Hello, judges. I ask you for 1 minute of your time, or less than a minute. What would you do if I could take you on a time-traveling African safari to the long-lost lands of the East African savannah, to a time, well, long before our good old buddies, the British, came a-knocking and basically gave us a new generation, to dance with your ancestors, relive your history, and actually craft your own unique narrative to suit you as an individual. I am Lydia Mugure Mwangi of Neota Studios, and I'm here to present to you my project, Kawia's Adventure, an Afro-fantasy 3D adventure that also integrates interactive elements. So, I shall begin. What is Kawia's Adventure? Well, you might not believe it, but there are no English words to actually define what this project is. So me and my good buddy, Tabby, we made one up. Kawia's Adventure is a Govi. It's a game and a movie, combining both the narrative elements of filmmaking with the interactive elements of games. Thus allowing each audience or each individual to craft their own unique narrative in a set parameter of Kawia's Adventure. And this adventure is the tale of a young girl on a journey to reunite with her deceased father on the night of the Teraburu. Because you see, on this night is very special. The spirits of everyone we have once lost come back to us to celebrate their lives, to celebrate how we remember them. It's a chance to just bid farewell to our loved ones before they move on to the next stage in the circle of life. While we get to say goodbye, they genuinely get one last night before they reincarnate into the next level. But you see, children are not allowed in this festival. Why? Because not only the good spirits come back. That wouldn't be exactly fair in the grand scheme of things. Both the good and the bad come back. And the bad spirits have a nasty habit of possessing and destroying children's souls. As such, Kawia's mother forbids her from attending this festival. She does not want to lose the only other relative she has left. But Kawia is just a young girl. All she wants to do is reunite with her father. She doesn't see the danger. Because if we've all lost someone, wouldn't you literally do anything if you had just one more chance to tell them farewell? So that is how our adventure actually begins. Kawia disobeys her mother's wishes and goes off into the savannah. And that's where we embark on our incredible adventure. That actually brings a wrap on what I have to say.
All right. Thank you very much. That was a wonderful presentation. Quick question. Is it more of a game or an animated series? Or is it a wonderful cinematic with gameplay elements?
Okay, the best way to define that is it's more of an interactive game. Have you ever played Bandersnatch? It's on Netflix.
No, not really.
What about Carmen Sandiego?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Exactly like Carmen said. Well, not exactly because Carmen Sandiego travels.
Something similar.
Something similar.
It doesn't have Netflix.
Okay, I shall explain it in the best way I can. So, it's basically like this. You get to watch a movie, but every person will have a different experience. Let's say, first sir on the, I want to say left.
Wallace.
Yeah.
Wallace.
Wallace, Mr. Wallace. Thank you. Let's say you want to play through a peaceful manner. If you actually go through that, the story unfolds in how the world reacts. The story unfolds in a very, I want to say, kid-friendly way. But if, I genuinely can't see anything, sir on the far right decides to go on a super aggressive route, the world switches from PG-13 to R2 rated R. Because if you played it nicely, if you played it kindly, the world reacts to you kindly. Spirit friends help you out. You just go around having a good old adventure through the savannah. If you are cruel to the world, you suddenly develop hundreds of enemies. Everyone is trying to attack you. Zombie, the undead.
The culture of content development in Kenya is growing every other year we do this particular program. You are very much aware that when we asked...
Good morning.
Good morning.
Give us the project title and your name.
My name is Sue Anjiro. I will be talking about Siri. I love storytelling, and I'm the founder of Lockem Kids Entertainment, where we teach children leadership skills through various forms of media. Today, I'll be talking about Siri. So Siri is a 10-minute 2D, 3D animated short film, a story about Wagoi and Namunyak, young superheroes fighting for justice after a child trafficking case with the help of Judge Akinyi through courtroom drama. It's a blend of languages, so English, Swahili, Gikuyu, Luo, Maasai, etc. There is need for such a project because according to many institutions, including Frontiers Global Women's Health this year, they found out that there's an increased child trafficking cases and sexual violence against children. I'm sure you've seen these missing children alerts on social media everywhere. It's heartbreaking. The target audience is children and families, and our project will stand out because, number one, it's very colorful and attractive. It's a courtroom drama, so we use the Children's Act Cap 141 to highlight critical matters that talk about children. We use animation project from Watoto Court series, where we'll be using courtroom drama to talk about matters that affect children. There's also an adaptation opportunity. Just last year, we partnered with USADF and created a pilot comic book of our first episode of an animation. It's currently in distribution, and we're using it for to get to children and get feedback on our project so that we can continue with our next episodes. Main characters, Wagoi and Namunyak, are qualified advocates, young African superheroes. They are passionate about justice. They have thirst for adventure. They love African culture. Wagoi loves Mokimo. Namunyak loves chapati. And they have their spirit animals, the black leopard, the male lion, which are strong just like them. Our favorite character is Akinyi, the judge. Everyone loves her. She's highly accomplished, incorruptible, fighter of justice, and fighting for the next crop of emerging leaders. We have Chep, a child living with disability. She brings in the techie and innovative sense in the film, and she's fun. The supporting cast in this episode is Crocodeno and Made. They're accused of child trafficking. Our budget for this episode is coming to $15,000. I will be writing and directing the film. I have experience in the creative industry, the leadership industry, as a Mandela Washington Fellow, Yali Fellow, Tony Elomule this year, etc. And also Balinale DIF Maisha Writing Lab in the creative industry. And I have over 5 years experience professionally with children. The production team has 10 young fearless leaders from Kenya, Togo, and Tanzania, who are also leaders in the judiciary and the leadership and the creative industry. The expected outcomes for this project is that children will be informed and entertained, they'll stay safe, they learn the constitution, and distribution is ancillary markets as well as training programs. We are looking for funding from institutions and corporates, alumni, applying for grants, activists, the creative industry, well-wishers, and I thank you for listening to me. I invite you to join Siri and fight child trafficking. I'll just show you a short clip so that you can get a feel of what it is that we do. Thank you.
Whoever, Judge Mukora, unakuja hapa na manywele kubwa kubwa.
Working Kenyan man.
At a snacks. No jobs in the future.
Don't mess with me, you pig. I am Akinyi, a Supreme Court judge, fighter of corruption, lover of the fine things of life, and justice shall be executed.
Vizugu. Order.
Hi, great presentation. So you've written the story and then you've sort of like outsourced the animation, right? How long will this take? Say for the 10 episodes, 10 minutes each. How long will this take?
It's going to be an hour. A little under an hour for the first 6 episodes, and then we are going to move into the next 6 episodes, but generally 10 minutes for each episode for the 10.
So I think I should have made. I mean, in terms of production-wise, how long will you be producing this? Say you started 2 months, 3 months, 2 years, that sort of thing.
Sorry, my apologies. But it takes 6 months or so, depending also on the funding that we've gotten. For example, the pilot project took us 1 year just to be able to nail funding and to have people come in and help out with the production.
We are only concerned with the content, not Lochem as an organization. So we are only looking at the animation, how marketable it is, how sustainable it is. So those are the things you don't need to tell us.
It's because we'll use the animation to do the training programs. So the kids are paying to come in, watch the film, and get to learn about the Constitution and these matters that affect them. So we are able to get money from that, but at the same time, have impact.
Hello, Sue.
Hello.
How are you feeling?
I'm very happy.
What platform are you going to be distributing this on, your production on?
We're currently looking at online platforms, and then once we are able to complete the full series, then we can do ancillary TV and film fests. Yeah.
All right, thank you. It's an amazing story. I mean, the line of story about child trafficking and the lessons learned behind that. That's a very good. I hope it goes through.
Thank you so much, and good luck with your projects.
All right, thank you so much. Lovely project. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You are narrowed down to 6. With those few remarks, I will hand over to Wycliffe, who will give a few words.
Ladies and gentlemen, fellow.
I'll start by telling you a bit about me. I'm 46 years old, and I grew up in a suburban area of Nairobi called Udhiru. I went to Kenyatta University for my first degree in fine art, and for my master's, I went to England. And in 2010, I came home because I wanted to run an animation studio. I wanted to run a cartoon studio in Africa. Almasi is a massive project. It's 52 10-minute animated shows made by young people who grew up in the same world as their primary audience, 8 to 12-year-old Kenyan children. Each show costs 1 million shillings to make, and I know it does because my tax returns show it. I've funded the first 2 episodes to get started. And today, I'm pitching for the money to make episode 3. Almasi is an 8-year-old girl from Rongai who goes into a mangrove forest with her cousins to gather wood and cut poles for building. The story originated from an old Swahili folk tale that my mom found in the Lamu Museum in 1999. It was about a little boy and his dad going into a mangrove forest to cut wood, and they were chased out by an ogre. So Almasi was my thesis project, and I want to make female-centered stories, so it's a little girl. And I was just learning how to do 3D, and I couldn't make an ogre, so I made it a dark cloud. And it comes in and chases away all the rapacious woodcutters. And once they're gone, the forest reveals itself in all its beauty to Almasi, who was not afraid of the cloud. She's an urban child. She was seeing with new eyes, and she could see that the forest wasn't happy about being chopped down before the cloud arrived. So when it's gone, she meets a magic butterfly who is her companion through the series. The butterfly introduces her and her cousins to all the wonders and magic of the natural world. She finds a piece of sea glass and she stuffs it into her hair for safekeeping, which she can do because she has thick, dark African hair. And she shrinks and then she can ride the butterfly. The first 13 episodes was created with Nature Kenya, so that the story shows real instances of human-wildlife conflict, illegal farms in the forests, and the elephants raiding the farmers' crops. I came up with the series when I was bringing up toddlers in London, cooped up in the house, and I wished to be in Kenya, where they could play outdoors all day, every day. Almasi is meant to inspire parents and children to create those priceless outdoor experiences for today's urban generations. Here's my budget for episode 3. It's nearly 1 million shillings, mostly payroll, and that's how and this is how I intend to get the money. I'm just running this crowdfunding. It's still got another couple of days to go. So that's 240,000 right now. And then this grant, if I should get it, and then the rest, 250,000 to be raised from Patreon and merchandising. I have monthly contributions coming in. And then that's the detailed budget.
I love Almasi.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Yeah?
I don't actually have a question, but I'll comment about the actual characters. Huh? Right now, they're African, but they're not explicitly from Kenya. You get it? From their character design,
yes,
you can tell that they're African.
Yes.
And I know we have the coastal community.
Yes.
They actually dress like that.
Through and really, it doesn't.
But how about instead of them talking English? I mean, the narration can be in English, but you can have the voice themselves of the characters speaking in Kiswahili.
In episode 2, we have started that, and it just came out when people were dealing with the soundtrack. So I think the first person who speaks is Uncle, and he speaks in Kiswahili.
This is a very ambitious project, as you mentioned.
Yes.
And you said that it's going to be 52 episodes.
Yes.
And as you're speaking, you mentioned that, I don't know, are you doing it in batches of 10? Because you said you wanted
Batches of 13. So
13.
season 1 is the mangrove forests and the coast. The mangrove forests and the coastal forests and the sea.
Okay.
Yeah.
So every season, it's going to be a particular set place?
In a different Kenyan environment. Right. So there'll be one in the savannas, one around the Great Lakes and Rusinga Island, and one in the mountains, the Aberdares, Mount Kenya, to show different children having fun in different environments.
Did I catch you correctly when you said it's 1 million per episode?
It's a what?
1 million shillings per episode.
Yes, it's $10,000 per episode.
Would you mind roughly breaking that down?
Staff salaries. So this is broken down into one episode. Yeah. So at the moment I have 2 animators. I hope to get another one, so that I'll have 3 animators. And then there's pre-production, 38,000 bob, storyboarding. My storyboarding is being done by a former student who's now studying in South Africa. That's the accountancy and legal costs, 20,000 for taxes, the narration and writing the script, the final mix of the soundtrack, the sound recording. We record at the radio station at the Multimedia University, and that's just the 2K that I pay the guy for supervising the recording. Catering, I bring food for the animators every day.
Thank you very much. So, first of all, I would like to thank you all very much. In my 15 years in the animation industry, I've not seen such good work. That was lovely for each one of you. And I can tell you for a fact, you gave the judges a run for their money. It was not easy at all. But I'm happy to the fact that all of you have a solid plan. You know how you're going to fund your projects, even moving forward. So even though you don't make it, I'm sure I'll be able to see those productions going forward. This is not the end of it. I'll be calling a few people to step forward. Kiki and Ella, step forward. Kawia, step forward. And Siri, step forward. All right. Oh, thank you very much. So unfortunately, for those who've been left behind, you fell under the cut line. So I would thank you very much. And hopefully next time I'll be able to see you, or you'll have finished your production by then. So thank you so much. And hopefully next time you're going to have that. So you may leave the stage now.
And we arrived at 6 of you. So at this point, I want to ask you to clap for yourselves for being the best out of the 57. Makofi kwenyu kwenu. We have been
Thank you very
looking at
much.
a number of
For
things, and very important is
Kawia,
the theme,
step forward.
treatment. And we have been able
The
to
scope of what you have,
look
you
at
had some
various
lovely
themes
visuals. It was lovely.
which are
I love the
basically
idea so
local
much.
in orientation.
But
I want
the
to
judges
thank
were
you
looking at
very much for that.
the local reach and the local
However,
distribution.
in
So
any
yes, we may have
competition,
very
the
good reach
judgment
out there,
for
but
content
locally we might not
developers,
have that
there must be a
huge
winner.
reach.
You
So
have
we would advise you
winners
to
out
also
of the
look at
57,
locally
but then
how that
we want
production
to
will be able
move
to
to
reach
the
each and every single
very,
person. So it's
very
something that
best of them
you really
all.
need to work on. And I
This point in
think
time,
I'd mentioned about
allow me to
mobile.
call upon
Okay, so
Madam
it's an
Monica
idea that you need
Kiuma
to explore.
to come
But
on, but we want to ask you as
thank you very
feedback
much, and hopefully next
to your
time
media
we're going to
houses,
see you
please
here.
continue to tell
All right,
us
thank you.
our narratives in cinematic way. Asanteni sana.
All right. So now we just need to announce the winner. And the winner of the animation category pitching competition this year is
particular order, kindly, I will call you by your project title.
Kiki and Ella.
That you Tash and Tosh.
So thank you for everyone who's participated. I would like to thank the Kalasha film for everything that you've done and for elevating the animation industry into new heights. And we hope we're going to have this partnership over the years to come, and our animation is going to get better and better. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.
Welcome to the 4th edition of the Kalasha International TV and Film Market.
The producer of Kutoka Chini.
Good morning, my name is Jerry Karago and I'm the director for Kutoka Chini.
Kutoka Chini refers to starting from the bottom and having a social climb up. On our team, other than my director, Jerry Karago, who's an award-winning director, having come second place in Machakos Film Festival in 2018. I myself have worked in international casting, stock photography, as well as productions. With me as well is my co-producer, Joe, and my associate producer, Evelyn Kashushu.
So Kutoka Chini, this is our story. After the father's suicide, 3 siblings concoct a plan to rob from the bank that denied him his pension. So our narrative will begin with the 3 siblings and strange siblings meeting at the father's funeral, and at this point they'll come across his suicide note. After reading his suicide note, they'll realize that the bank manager was one of the primary causes that led to his suicide. After that, they'll plan and execute what will be known as one of the greatest heists in Kenyan history. Our themes are very relatable to our current context, which is the Kenyan society. So we'll be dealing with a lot of corruption, which we'll see through the bank manager, and we'll be dealing with grief. And with grief, we'll be seeing the 3 ways in which the separate characters will be dealing with it in our narrative.
Our format. So we've decided to go with the format of a web series, as we want the show to be accessible to all our audiences. We're looking at having this in English, Swahili, as well as vernacular languages, just to make it feel more Kenyan. It should be about 7 episodes running between 7 to 10 minutes. So a lot like My Kenya, My Story by Kenya Film Commission, it's really about tapping into new technology when you create content. On first week, we shall release 3 episodes, and then 1 episode each week after, with our final week having 2 episodes, because that's where most of the action happens. Our world of story. Our version of Nairobi, as Jerry said, is one where corruption is rampant, as well as it's a dog-eat-dog world. So our 3 characters will feel that the only way that they can avenge their father's suicide is by robbing a bank. Because we really want to ask the question that, what are you willing to do to right a wrong?
Hi, I love the concept. I have a question. What will you do with the 500K?
So the 500,000 would go mostly into production, so things like builds, and so that's how we also tie it in with product placement. So we're gonna try and shoot with as little as possible. So like things like the flats we're gonna use, we're gonna try and find them locally. So working with local hardware stores to see if we can work with them on a barter trade business or on a production placement.
Okay, so when you get the 500K, are you going to start with that or wait to get everything else?
We've started already speaking to people because we've got to keep the ball rolling. Because actually we've been working on this story for 2 years. So our first goal was to get a good story, make sure that we got the whole thing and also build our team. So the 500,000 mainly production costs.
Yeah.
Okay, Peter?
Thank you, Chair. I'm not sure I heard you correctly. I have a feeling that this, according to the pitching, the story may encourage guys to revenge or to undertake corruption or to rob banks. What do you say to this?
So even though this is a heist film, we are not glorifying crime. And even though we're going to capture the crime, there are going to be consequences of our main characters trying to pull off the heist. So at the end of the 7th episode, one of the main arcs of the story is that crime does not pay. So yes, we're trying to capture a great back heist story that's entertaining, and it's a character-driven story, but we're not glorifying crime at all. With corruption being the main theme, we're just showcasing the reality on the ground, which is corruption has integrated into most of society and it affects ABNC.
Yeah, mine is to just say that I'm very happy with your pitch, and what you brought out is very clear. From this desk, I really wish you the best, and yeah, hope you get it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I have one small question, and this is specific to your budget. You have a budget of about 1.7, and your total content is going to be about 50 to 70 minutes. Your total content is going to be about 50 to 70 minutes for the 7 episodes. Is that a realistic budget for that content, considering you're going for a high-end production?
So likely about, like when it comes to the production design, we're going to actually build it in a place that I know in Makueni. So I've already started speaking to them about being able to get all the free stuff that we need for construction. So that almost offsets that. Obviously, the equipment might be a little bit more expensive, which is why we're looking into co-productions, which is what we did for his last short film, Q, which we began with a budget of about 2 million, and I think we're done for about 500,000 to 600,000. So it's something that we've done before, because we've partnered with companies before to bring down the budgets.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
We've enjoyed your pitch. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Welcome to your pitch session. We are the jury here, and we'd like you to introduce yourselves, and then you can introduce your project.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for inviting us. My name is John Sibi Okumu. I'm a presenter, producer, and my friend and colleague is Mwaniki, aka Nick Njashe.
So, when did you first see a Mzungu?
Mzungu na monia ne monine re yo mzungu na lana mzungu la watu someza sia magangile maana kenda meongwena na itatu te Sunday school.
And our preoccupation is that we would like to do programming for posterity, program that would outlive us, because our children, our children's children, if you talk to them, have been swamped with alien cultures and have no idea of their own roots. So we would be talking about, you heard Kenyan languages which are not being spoken because our kids want to speak Kiswahili and English and Sheng. And we would hear these languages and re-legitimize them. And if we have a guest, if they're Hindu, if they're Mwarabu, they would speak in the language in which they feel most comfortable, and we would subtitle them. Our tagline would be presenting our historical memory. Our logline would be tracking the evolution of Kenyan society culturally and politically by speaking probingly to people who have lived through Kenya's experience as a nation. So I would be the presenter. I have done the research to delineate lots of people who are 80 and above, 80, 85, 95, and we want to go and look for them so that we'd end up in Wajir, Mandera, Bondo, and would have a profile. We would know about the person that we're talking about in the introduction, and then go to unpack what they've said in the next, say, 20 minutes.
We very well appreciate the subject of your pitch. And now we'll have some questions for you. Fred will ask you a question.
All right, let me start off by asking, first of all, congratulating you on your pitch. And the idea is a very good idea, very unique, I must say that. But what is going to be your other sources of income? Yes, I know you mentioned that you've done some of it because it's a passion project out of pocket, because 3.36 million, you said, is a bit off what Kenya Film Commission will be giving you. How do you intend to bridge the gap, and how are you going to ensure longevity?
Okay, we have been in talks with a few broadcasters, and they haven't actually said that they will fund the project. We have also spoken with distributors, and what we are getting is that if at least we can manage to do 13 episodes a season, then it becomes easy to sell. But our hope is that once when we get this funding, with 4 more programs under our belt, we'll have a stronger point to argue our case when we enter into any broadcaster's office, because they can see exactly what it is we're doing, and it will be not an idea anymore, but actually something that is actual.
Okay, any other question? Okay, thank you very much for your presentation. We very much appreciate your very unique concept, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Welcome to today's pitching session. Please introduce yourselves.
My name is Nicholas Adongo. I'm a film director based in Kisumu.
My name is Joyce Indiego Arigi, a filmmaker based in Nairobi and operates mostly in Kisumu.
Karibuni sana. You can begin your pitch.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. We thought of an idea and came up with a TV series known as Tanga. Tanga comes from the Luo community to mean Tanga. That is how the Luo people call it. So we thought it's good to be a family show, and it will be taking 25 minutes per episode. Now, our thoughts, we borrowed them from the Luo community, who have an idea of Luo folklore such as Nyamgodo and Simbi Nyaima. It gave us motivation to talk about something which we gave it a tagline known as Tundu Nyavuni. Our logline are, in quest of looking for peace, a lady known as Adongo quits her nursing job, who is determined, returns back to her village Tanga to find a strange disease has hit her people in the midst of a political tension. She tries to change the status quo, but has to challenge herself with tradition and outdated religious practices. Now, the synopsis of this: Adongo is an intelligent young lady who is determined and comes from humble beginnings, but she drops her job, a nursing job in a neighboring county, to come back to her village, Tanga, so that she can get peace. But on arrival, she finds that there's political tension, and then there's a strange disease that has just infected the community. When she tries to change the status quo, Adongo faces challenges from the beach community, which comes from the beach chairperson, and also the wife of the beach chairperson known as Amilo, who will not allow Adongo to move with her plans. But she does not give up. She moves on and on to achieve what she wants as one person of this village.
Adongo is a woman, and we have different themes that we want to handle in the story Tanga. First of all, Tanga alone is broad to us, because Tanga, we've called it the setting where we want to do all this. So the series will tackle more of political empowerment for the people. It will tackle cohesion. It will tackle family issues and family values. We are going to tackle tribal issues, love and romance, but looking at it at a girl's eye perspective.
We also have characters like Bob, who is the beach chairperson. The beach is always having a setup similar like the national setup, where they have people leading them. This is the person, the main challenger of Adongo. We have characters like Omondi, who is Adongo's father. We also have characters like Akoko, who is Adongo's mother. We also have characters like Amilo, who is the wife to